Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku had extra quirk. If you guys enjoy this movie, comment down below. And let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story ToEnter-PressStart from 𝐬𝐻. So let's start the video. Prologue. What do you think you're doing, Deku? Stay out of my way before you join this loser in my explosion. Katsuki Bakugo, the name Izuku Midoriya will always remember. Threw those words at him like they were acid spit. And he really hoped they burned. Not like I won't get burned anyways, Midoriya thought, as he tried to defend the kid. Bakugo, or as he called him Kaken, was attempting to attack for nothing, except the fact that he bumped into him before their confrontation. The kid was a simple extra, as Bakugo called him, with nothing but a barrier quirk for his name. Even if he was an extra, he still made it to UA's Gen Ed course. Future Midoriya thought, what a lucky fellow. You worthless shit. I'll teach you not to get in the way of Katsuki Bakugo, future #1 hero. He set of small sparks in his hands as he and the rest of his gang decided to beat on Midoriya, while the other kid ran away. Tsubasa, a plump kid with a quirk called hot wings, repeatedly jabbed Izuku with the edge of his wings, creating small scratches and laughing as he did so. Maybe he could have forgave him for this. If only he didn't become a villain, future Midoriya thought again. Stop. Please. I was only trying to make you chill out. Kaken, stop. Izuku tried to call out, but was drowned out by the sounds of his body getting pummeled. And his throat was also getting crushed by some random kid who can elongate parts of his body. He mostly chose to elongate his fingers, as his name got lost to Izuku in history. He was simply too forgettable when he told the story to his kids. Oh, and by the way, this is the story about a kid who gained 29 lineages of power, all to himself, and managed to become the #1 hero. With you by his side, nothing was going to get in his way. Well, we're still in the prologue, so he and his bullies are gonna have to wait. You're lucky I'm feeling generous, Deku. I'll be going now, only so you don't snitch back to your whining mom, Bakugo yelled as he, Tsubasa, and the long finger kid. I really gotta stop calling him that, future Midoriya thought. What was his name again? 𝐬𝐻. He won't be important, but it's good to have it when you're reciting a story. Anyways, let's get back to it. Present Midoriya finally got back up from his beating, picked up his crayons, and the rest of his valuables, before he went home. From kindergarten, all the way to middle school, this continued. It was a really simple loop. Get beat, get up, patch yourself up. Don't tell anyone, repeat. The only people that were actually slightly nice to him in the schools that he went through were the janitor, who was almost always quirkless, so he could also relate to Izuku on a personal level. He would allow Izuku to eat in the closet with him, and only when the hallway is clear he gets let out. Not before getting a sugar cookie for keeping the man company, even if he didn't say a lot. If he couldn't hide in the janitor's closest, he would hide in the nurse's office. The nurse mostly only cared about Izuku because of her job. Otherwise, she just lets him sit on the floor to eat. She doesn't talk to him, and he doesn't talk to her. It's not really that bad. Peace and quiet is the only thing Izuku thought when sitting in either of those rooms. After Izuku was diagnosed as quirkless, he still tried to become a hero, even if he had nothing going for him. Not even his mother really believed in him, as he trained every day during middle school, just to be put back down, even learning taekwondo, just to be put back down. Another loop went on. Train, get put down, train, get put down, repeat. Whatever I do, Bakugo will do better, and beat me down harder, Izuku thought every time after getting caught by Bakugo, and getting one of his daily beatings to teach him to stop looking down on him, or whatever he usually says. It's like second nature for him to fall into a loop. He eventually became depressed, and after 6th grade, decided to end what he called his training arc. Aldra Middle School wouldn't even let him have a way to be happy, as when he was caught in a dojo, was immediately sent to detention. And when he told the principal what was happening, he said these words, I don't care. That's not my problem. Students shouldn't even be in dojos this young anyways. Get back to class. And if anybody catches you training again, you'll be suspended. The principal sneered at Izuku before he was pointed to get out of his office. He'll regret that. I'll make sure of it. Every once in a while he'd have those dark thoughts, as if they were pressuring him to let them out. He mostly takes days wondering at home if that's really his quirk. But deep down he really knows. The reason why people bullied him was so known to Izuku. It was like a cactus, inside of an entire thorn poking out from his side. and the people at 𝐴LDRA only made it worse. He remembers the day he went to the Quirk doctor with his mother, and the day he went home, it went like this. Mom, come on, it's been 5 months, I want to see my Quirk. Izuku all but screeched at his mom. All the kids at his kindergarten already got their quirks, and he needed to know his so he could fit in and become a hero. He even has an All Might onesie to go with it. Kaken got his quirk, and it's so cool already. All night Mitsuki can't even pick him up to be hugged without burning herself. At least she could change his temperature in order to keep him steady. But it's really getting harder to do with each passing day. As his quirk got stronger and stronger, Izuku only got more excited at the prospect of how his best friend could so easily become a hero. But he couldn't. Inko picked up her son and looked him in the eye to say, "Come on, Izuku, stop fussing. We'll go to the Quirk doctor in an hour to see what your quirk is. Maybe it's a combination of me and your dad's quirk. You know he was a pro who could breathe fire." Izuku Midoriya quirk. Nothing yet. He's quirkless. Dr. Tsubasa told Inko, who looked at him in shock at how her child could possibly be quirkless. What? No, that can't be. Me and his father both had quirks, potent ones too. How could my son be quirkless? He has an extra toe joint. People with quirks evolved along with their skeletons. He then pointed to a board. Quirkless children haven't really had the DNA to evolve with the times, so he has no quirk. He could potentially have a dormant quirk gene, but it's really impossible to get that working. Even with a cellular activation quirk, you would need a specific blood type, which is incredibly rare. And even if there was a cellular activation quirk that didn't need a specific blood type, that's even rarer to find, as only 0.03% of people even have the blood type specific versions, so I'm sorry, but he is quirkless. Dr. Tsubasa looked towards the frozen and sobbing Izuku, and the equally frozen Inko, who looked at him with wide eyes, unable to believe that she has a quirkless son. But even so, she'll protect him and care for him no matter if he has no quirk or the most powerful one ever. Izuku on the car ride home says nothing. Even when his mother looks back to him to talk about the appointment, he says nothing. He looks forward, not staring at anything in particular, just looking out for something, as if it's some type of sleep paralysis dream, and he'll wake up soon. But they both know what happened at the doctor's is reality, and Izuku really is permanently quirkless. When they got home, Izuku didn't say anything still. He showered by himself, changed his clothes, put away his dirty ones, and closed his door to watch an All Might video. After all, he saves everyone. Maybe he could save Izuku from quirklessness, but he knows that's an even bigger leap than the day being a sleep paralysis dream. When his mom walks in, he still says nothing and continues repeating the video. After all that he says, "Mommy, even without a quirk, can I still be a hero? Just like All Might, can I still be a hero that saves everyone no matter the cost?" Izuku asked, hoping for an answer. On one hand, Inko doesn't want to lie to her son. She doesn't want him to end up as a dead hero. She couldn't live with herself if her son ever passed away. She had to give him the truth. But still, on the other hand, you can't crush your own son's dreams. He wants to be a hero. So what? There are plenty of quirkless fighter heroes, like that Eraserhead guy Izuku talks about. He has to fight villains one-on-one without anything. And even if he's fighting a mutant quirk user, he can still make the most of the situation and save the day. There are so much quirkless heroes and vigilantes out there, so she couldn't bring herself to ruin his dreams. Yes, you can, Izuku, even without a quirk, with all your heart and with strength and skill to guide you. No matter what, anyone could be a hero. Thank you, Mommy. Izuku sobbed into his mother's chest. As the one and only person in the world who could console him, she was here, and she would back up his dreams to become a pro hero. Inko Midoriya quirk. Object attraction. She can make any object float towards here, no matter the size. She can even attract atoms which can split apart somebody with a moment's notice. She hasn't ever done that and most likely will never need to. We go into another time skip, to the last day of 8th grade, where Izuku will be leaving the treacherous school and have time to himself to build his body back to shape. Even when learning taekwondo in 6th grade, the threat of being suspended and having it on his permanent record was too much to risk. When you has a 0.2% acceptance rate, he can't risk being suspended or having anything incriminating on his record. Even if Mirko became a hero, he doesn't know the hero school she went to. And that doesn't even mean he would want to go there. The teacher started walking to his desk and picked up his papers with his paper grabber quirk. Wow, even him. Anyways, he stood in front of the classroom and said, "Today, students, is the last day. Now I would recommend you to have good jobs. Like policeman or firefighter. Maybe even teacher like me? People snickered at the thought of that, and the teacher noticed and gave a slight head tilt with a face of questioning, seriously thinking what's wrong with behind a teacher. Anyways, I know you all don't want to be those at all. You all want to be heroes. The class started cheering and turning on their quirks in excitement, thinking they all could be heroes. And 𝗵𝘃𝐬, I hear you're trying out for you, eh? The teacher questioned. Hell yeah, 𝗵𝘃𝐬 yelled out. I'm gonna be a hero more loved and powerful than all these extras. Everybody called out 𝗵𝘃𝐬 for his action of basically war across the class. Oh, shut up, all of you. The only people on my league are probably those two over there. He pointed to 𝗬𝗲𝗧 and 𝗬𝗫, who smugly looked at everyone, not even gazing towards Deku as he already knows his place in the dirt. What's even with 𝗵𝘃𝐬's vendetta against Deku? Doesn't matter, I'll ask him later. Oh, and you too, Midoriya, the teacher said, that fucker. Izuku thought in his head. He never wanted this teacher to call him out. Every time any teacher called him out, it was to tell him to stop fussing with the other students, to stop causing fights, to answer nearly impossible questions, and to make fun of for being quirkless. Even so, he still ignores these teachers and regularly dismisses them. Even though it gets him detention, it's alright, because he will still become a hero. Why yeah, I heard that. They changed it, so now quirkless people can join the Hero C course. Izuku muttered out, trying to avoid the attention, but inevitably failing as 𝗵𝘃𝐬 walked up to his former friend's desk and completely blew it up. Deku, you little shitstain. You better not apply for you. I don't want my chances ruined by a quirkless freak like you. He tried to get Izuku to back down, and of course succeeded, also unknowingly complimenting Izuku by admitting he had a chance. But only Izuku caught on. 𝐀𝐦 Izuku tried to say his former friend's name, but was told by 𝗵𝘃𝐬 to stop calling me that shitty nickname. Baka 𝗵𝘃𝐬, I have to apply for you. If I have a chance then maybe. He tried to get the rest of his words out, but he was slapped across the face and had his notebook taken by 𝗵𝘃𝐬. Hey, give that back. I need that for my future hero work. Izuku tried to yell out, but really ended up a squeaky mess. Stop saying you're gonna be a hero, Deku. I don't need someone like you looking down on me, even while you're at the bottom. Midoriya thought, looking down on him. But when did he get that idea? And what's with you and these stupid stalker notebooks? I'm tired of you writing them. Planning on killing these heroes and me, aren't you? For your sick little fucking revenge plot. 𝗵𝘃𝐬 took the book, put it in his hand, blew up the cover, ran towards the window, and threw it out. 1/13. Now if I ever come over to your tacky apartment, I'll destroy the rest, 𝗵𝘃𝐬 said, maniacally laughing as he left the classroom. Everybody else besides 𝗬𝗫 and 𝗬𝗲𝗧 had already left when 𝗵𝘃𝐬 decided to press Midoriya. They simply didn't care enough about a quirkless freak like him. Izuku ran out the classroom, using a separate exit to avoid getting beat up even more, and found the book lying in a pond. He picked it up and let it sit, and for an hour, he sat near the pond, stewing in his thoughts like, why can't he just leave me alone? Why am I so weak? I trained for this. Aren't we supposed to be friends? What changed? And the last one. I will get him back for this, by becoming a hero. Izuku dried off his book and headed home, still stewing in his thoughts while at the koi pond. He was so deep within his thoughts, he failed to notice the sound of sludge coming out of the sewer he walked past. Ah, a fresh body that's ripe for the taking. You know what, thank you. For the 40 seconds you'll have in pain, you'll be my hero. A sludge monster appeared behind him. Why, you've got to be kidding, Izuku thought, trapped inside of the slime monster. Or should I say villain, who threw a glob at his feet before this, and let him sit inside what would be his stomach. He tried forcing open Izuku's mouth, to which he moved around, trying to grab his bag, managed to grab it, and opened it, taking out a pencil and stabbing the sludge villain in the eye. You bastard, now I'll make sure you suffer, but before that I'll have to remove the rest of your items. The sludge villain ejected the bag and the pencil out of him and continued filling Izuku with sludge. No, I can't die like this. Please, not until I become a hero. Izuku started crying, and unbeknownst to the sludge villain and Izuku, someone else came rising out of the sewers. I am here to save this boy and finally end this chase. All Might, the #1 hero, came to save me, was the last thought Izuku had before he passed out. Detroit. Smash. All Might punched the sludge villain and splattered him across the underside of the bridge. All Might then collected the sludge villain in bottles before performing CPR on Midoriya. Asterisk cough asterisk cough asterisk Izuku woke up, being held by All Might, and spat out the sludge that was inside of him. Kid, are you alright? I've been doing CPR for 15 minutes, so I hope that's all that's in your system. What's your name, little man? My name is Izuku Mido Midoriya. He managed to stutter out some words, flustered at the thought of meeting the number #1 hero and being saved by him. Ah, alright, young Midoriya, you can collect your items. I already sorted everything out for you, and your book is signed. Keep it close to you. Wow, he really did already sign the book. Alright kid, I'll be heading out now. I have to take this one. All Might shakes the 2 bottles filled with the sludge villain in each of his eyes. Back to the station. Have a good day, citizen. Crap baskets, All Might thought. I'm running out of time. Gotta get out of here fast. Don't want a fanboy to see my true form and go posting it on the internet. How will people see me as the symbol of peace if he's a frail skeleton with only 3 hours to work as a hero? At least he still has the 2 quirks he can use without one for all. But they are severely weakened and only work for 5 hours in a day. After all, for one destroyed my left lung and stomach. All Might proceeded to get up and walk away, trying to find a good spot to jump. Found it and wait. I still have a question to ask you, All Might. Izuku jumped onto All Might's pants the second he jumped away from the bridge. Hey kid, now's not the time to be grabbing onto me. You have to get off. If I get off, I'll die, Izuku responded to All Might, cheeks flapping at the wind and speed All Might is traveling at. He's right, All Might thought, looking at a building and deciding to land there as a response. Why did he even bother grabbing onto him? This question better be important. Now kid, what's the question you wanted to ask me? As I need to take the villain to the police station right this moment. All Might asked, looking subtly pissed at the fact he dragged a kid all the way with him when he was running out of the amount of time he could even use one for all. The 3-hour limit is all he had now thanks to the fight with All for One. And using float was already a hassle when he has only 1 lung and no stomach. Can I be a hero, even without a quirk to rely on? All Might was puzzled, because on one hand, he was born quirkless, and he couldn't just say no to a kid with dreams. But even so, hero work is dangerous, and he can't let people die so easily. I'm sorry, but you can't. You can try becoming a police officer, or a firefighter, even a teacher with the way your notebooks are written about heroes and their powers. But you can't be a hero. It's too dangerous for people without quirks to become heroes and fight in the line of duty. All Might said this with a somber tone, leaving Izuku to tear up at what he said. But then, poof All Might, where did you go? I know I'm quirkless and all, but that doesn't mean you should bail so fast. Izuku looked on in shock and horror as he saw a skeleton-looking man sitting on the balcony of the roof. Is that? No way, that can't be. No way. Are you the real All Might? All Might looked on in amazement as he watched the boy he just met. No. Izuku Midoriya, go on a mutterstorm. He decided to cut it short and say, I'll tell you what happened. Just stop muttering. Izuku followed along like a puppy, bobbing his head up and down waiting for All Might to tell him about what just happened to him. Look, I won't go on about my quirk, but I'll show you why I got smaller. He lifted his shirt to reveal a gigantic scar on his left side. I got this scar from a villain 5 years ago. He blew out my lung and I had to get my stomach removed due to the damage that was dealt to it. Izuku questioned this and said, the fight with Toxic Chainsaw. You got out of that one with minimal injuries and put that guy in Tartarus? All Might replied, no, not that fight. The one I fought in was removed from the media entirely upon mine and another one of my colleagues' request. If you're a fanboy, you may have heard of the name Gran Torino. As he said this, multiple explosions were heard from a certain alleyway, 12 blocks away from where they were, but still visible. All Might checked his pockets and realized that he dropped the sludge villain that he was just holding, and also realized that the Midoriya kid he was holding must have made him drop the villain in an attempt to land early. He couldn't bring himself to blame him more for what happened, and immediately left downstairs with Midoriya to check it out. Alleyway, 2 minutes before the explosions, one of Bakugo's goons started talking, only to break the silence of what happened to Deku in class. Hey, what even is the deal with you and Midoriya? I know that Bozo is quirkless and all, but do you know that guy personally? Bakugo, pissed at the thought of even mentioning Deku, rudely retorted. Yeah, I know that shithead. I somehow used to be friends with him. But he's just an ant on my path to become the #1 hero. Bakugo said that last part as smugly as possible, before kicking a bottle on the street as hard as possible, opening it up in the process. After all, that bottle is just the same as that worthless Deku, smelly, disposable, and in his way. Then, he felt something grab him by the leg and start talking. Another fresh body for the taking. Hey, help me get away from that bastard All Might while you're here, alright? He then proceeded to open the second bottle filled with more sludge and fully wrap around Bakugo, making sure that he's 100% trapped before forcing his mouth open and trying to shove sludge down his throat, but his throat heated to insane levels as his hair spiked orange and set the block ablaze. I won't let you take me over, you dirty sludge fuck. They battled on what is presumed to be equal footing, but Bakugo was holding back until the pros arrived. He couldn't cause too much damage. He's already breaking tons of crimes like unauthorized quirk use and vigilantism. But even so, he'll hold him back until the pros arrive. And he'll brag to them until he couldn't brag anymore. He'll teach that old hag and Deku to stop looking down on him, and to treat him like a pro hero. 𝐻𝐸, still near the large explosion, called the police and ran to the other side of block, so he could attempt to assist Bakugo. But it was too hot, and he was unable to make it to the guy. Damn it, I'll just have to wait until the pros arrive. They'll be able to get him out of this, and before they do, he'll probably do it himself, 𝐻𝐸 said. But then, he thought to himself, I mean, he's Bakugo after all. Keep fighting, Bakugo. I can't let myself lose to a D-tier garbage bag like him, Bakugo thought, as he constantly set up minefield explosions across their alleyway battlefield. But the sludge fucker kept building himself up with more sewage from other storm drains. He put his palm on the villain and set off 10 mini explosions inside of the guy. He took damage, but he easily regenerated it. Stop fighting, you damned brat. It's already over for you. Give up your body now, and it'll make it painless. The sludge villain tried in vain to compromise, but to no avail as they kept fighting. Alleyway, 5 minutes after the battle started, and All Might plus Midoriya arrived. What the hell? It's that sludge monster again. How did he get out? Midoriya pondered. But then he saw a familiar face that was battling the sludge. Bakugo. He can't hold on for much longer, Midoriya thought, not knowing Bakugo was holding back to show off. Bakugo, still adrenaline buffed and holding back to reduce damages, saw Midoriya out the corner of his eye and tried to scream Deku as an act of insulting him one last time. But sludge got shoved down his throat. He powered down and was stuck at the mercy of the sludge monster. Midoriya, seeing that his former best friend is in trouble, rushed out to the crowd and into the alleyway where Bakugo was being held captive. Even if the crowd were screaming at him to get back, or telling him, "What are you doing, kid?" he just couldn't let somebody die this easily. As if his legs moved on his own, he ran, and ran as fast as possible, and threw his open backpack at the eye of the sludge villain, stunning it just long enough for Bakugo to explode a pocket of air where he could vomit the sludge in his lungs out and speak. And the first thing he said to Izuku was, "I didn't need any help from you. I can handle it, stupid Deku." When Izuku looked at him, he smiled and simply said, "You just looked like you needed saving, and I couldn't let you die so easily." Bakugo took a second to stare at him with awe, quickly referring back to anger when he realized Deku was looking down on him. Again, he shot an explosion out of his mouth to get the rest of the sludge out of his mouth, and just stared at Izuku with hateful eyes. All Might, watching on as this fanboy no hero ran up to save somebody even without a quirk. He looked at him and smiled and realized something. "You're just as much a hero as I am, young hero Midoriya." He powered up into his buff form, even while on the time limit cooldown, pushing his body and super boosted over to Midoriya and the yellow-haired bomberman, who held his own against a villain. He grabbed them both in one arm and said this: "You forced me to come out my shell, kid. Maybe I should start practicing what I preach. And for you, villain, a specialty. Texas. Smash." No way. He changed the weather with a punch alone. Death Arms looked up from where he was standing and saw little rain droplets falling down onto him and the crowd. And the latter started cheering for All Might. He saved the two children and defeated the sludge villain, who was now safely in a tighter, bigger bottle, courtesy of 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐴, who was drinking a bottle of water before he came to power up his quirk further. Lady was also surprised. As a new hero, she never got to witness All Might's power up close, and was sad she couldn't do anything to save the two kids. But was comforted by 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐴, who said that not a lot of people could keep up with All Might, so she's not at fault, and brightened her mood just a little. Izuku was confronted by Death Arms, who told him that he should not have went out into the field and ran in like that, as he could have died just as easily as the 𝐜𝐡𝐬 𝐍𝐴 kid, who got praised for his incredible quirk by the police officers surrounding him. And he took pride in knowing that wasn't even his full power. And he got away with showing off in front of people, even though it would have got him killed. At least he's happy. I won't even be able to hold a candle to him when I'm a hero. He then had a thought he hasn't had in years. I hate him so much. Why couldn't he just accept me for being quirkless? We were friends before. Why not now? Just why? His angered thoughts subsided as he continued walking home, and he heard running from behind him. He turned around and saw 𝐜𝐡𝐬 𝐍𝐴, his former friend. He wanted to tell him how much he hated him, and that he should have never saved him from choking to death. But he wanted to hear his words first before he said anything too horrible. Deku, I'm sorry for insulting your mother, and you I guess, but I never needed saving, and don't think I'm gonna let this slide. If you become a hero, I'll leave you in the dust. Izuku looked on with shock and awe, as he couldn't believe 𝐜𝐡𝐬 would actually apologize to him, and the only words he could get out were, "Thank you, 𝐜𝐡𝐬." 𝐜𝐡𝐬 gave Izuku a smirk and then walked away. After all of the bullying that came from kindergarten all throughout middle school, he could see it. His friend was in there, and he could be saved no matter what. *𝐜𝐡𝐬 𝐍𝐴. Asterisk. Quirk. Super Explosion Buddy Burner. A mutated quirk of his father, Masaru 𝐍𝐴's sparkler, and his mother, Mitsuki 𝐍𝐴's slight temperature change clean skin. Body burner. He can heat up his body to extreme temperatures, enough to emit steam. He is only affected by 25% of the quirk's effects, so he can't heat his temperature up infinitely. Super Explosion. He can let off gigantic explosions from anywhere on his body, and can even let off miniature ones inside others' skin when having 5 fingers direct contact. Combining these turns him into an unhittable, unstoppable monster. He can only hold 100% of this for 5 minutes before passing out with a huge fever. Midoriya continues to walk home, mood increased by his friend's kind words. He is considering taking Muay Thai classes, even though he is significantly toned, and sees All Might running up to him. Young Midoriya, am I glad I found you. I managed to get away from those reporters, so I cough, 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 Midoriya. Even after seeing it once is still in shock, and offers All Might a tissue for the blood dropping down his jaw. He declines and swiftly wipes his own mouth with a handkerchief. I've come with an offer. I've seen what you could do, even while quirkless, when you ran out there to save that boy. I thought that you were a true hero. I should have never decided to turn my back on you, even if you were quirkless. Quirkless people can be heroes too. But I come with an offer. My quirk. Yes, my quirk. It's a stockpiled energy quirk, and I am its 29th. Would you care to wield one for all, and be the 30th user in a line of heroism? Izuku couldn't believe it. He was being offered All Might's quirk. He couldn't put his finger on what it was for years, and now he's finally being told. A stockpiler quirk with weight. 29 users. It seems he's going to have a long way to go in order to wield the power. But even though he has no quirk, he could still handle it, and the words he chose were, I accept. You already accept? I would have thought I would have to talk it over or something. Well, this doesn't matter. Izuku Midoriya. With or without this, you too can become a hero. If you want to hear more, you would have to come to Dagobah Beach at around 7 AM to start your training. Don't be late. And with that, All Might left, giving Izuku his phone number and real name. Toshinori Yagi. I can't believe it. I have All Might's real name, phone number, and quirk. But I wonder, that quirk looks like a basic do one punch and have big effect quirk. How did he float that one time? I'll figure it out when I receive the quirk. But for now, strong checks time I really gotta get home before mom starts worrying about me. Hopefully the media didn't put this on the news. Aw man, I'm a dumbass if they were there in the first place. It's already on the news. Time to rush. Izuku Midoriya rushes towards home with thoughts in his head about All Might's quirk. How it's gonna be to actually have a quirk. And how his chances are increased even more dramatically at the chance of being a pro hero. Even without a quirk, he could have still been a pro. And now with this extra opportunity, nothing is going to stop him from being a PR *ring ring ****. Midoriya looked at his phone, doubled over, and realized it was super late for the second time. All this daydreaming, and he's going to be on the streets in the night. He rushes home, and when he makes it to the door, knock 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 *HM. Why isn't she answering? Could something have happened? Izuku, where have you been? I've been calling you since the fight against that sludge villain was reported on the news. Why haven't you responded? I called Mitsuki, and Katsuki, and even they didn't know where you had gone. Don't worry me like that again. Inko yelled out in worry for her son. Even if he couldn't call, he could at least text, right? Izuku shared the same sentiment, but he couldn't tell her about All Might's offer. Not just yet. He stayed in the same position on his doorstep, being hugged by his mother, and constantly consoling her. They eventually got back inside where Izuku had to wash his clothes. Come on, crying, and then blowing snot all over my clothes. Not cool, Mom. At least I won't be using that uniform after it's washed, so it's not so bad. After washing his clothes, he got in the shower and had some deeply disturbing thoughts about Bakugo's apology, All Might's offer, and the amount of stuff he could do with All Might's seemingly versatile quirk. When getting out the shower, he looked at himself in the mirror and realized he had some sort of dark circle in and around his belly button. It's not like it's some seal-looking thing either. It's just a black circle. He put a note in his 13th hero book in order to remember what to do about that and went to sleep. He went to sleep, and after an hour he felt as if something wasn't right. He didn't know what he was feeling, but it was as if he was angry. He couldn't tell, but he had to wake up to blow off some steam, and when he did, what the hell? What is this place? Where am I, and why does it look like an optical illusion in here? While we're on that subject, why is my voice so warped? Midoriya asked, clearly incredibly confused and scared on where he managed to end up. He started asking himself if he was under the effect of a villain's quirk. Maybe he was being brainwashed. Maybe on the outside he was being teleported. He started panicking and almost went to scream, but then, I'm tired of your damn squirming. Shut the hell up. A voice? Who are you? PL, please tell me where I am. Izuku wanted to start panicking again, but he didn't know the stranger that was currently residing in whatever realm or quirk he was in. So he had no idea if he did anything bad, he would be harmed or not. I am your quirk. Don't tell me you don't know who I am. I've been dormant since you were 4? Tell me, why do you think you've been having all those scary thoughts recently? The voice replied in a sarcastic tone, clearly not knowing Izuku was diagnosed as quirkless before this confrontation. No. I didn't even know I had a quirk. Ever. When I went to that doctor, he said I had that extra toe joint thing, and I was fully quirkless. Izuku, whose voice was still warped, replied to the other voice, surprised and low-key, excited at the prospect of having an actual quirk. Can you tell me? What is your name? My name, the voice said, not really eager to give him a response. But either way, he was forced. Call me, or your quirk, Rage Rider. Try not to forget me, like you've done for the past 11 years. What do you even do? Izuku asked, hurrying for a response to what is his quirk's ability. I save up anger or something. And when released it buffs your physical attack damage and speed by 150x, but also makes you take 5x more damage in response to anything. When unused it keeps storing anger, and eventually makes you super prone to depression and other negative thoughts. The voice, no, Rage Rider, gave Izuku a definitive response, and allowed him to visualize what his quirk looks like on the outside. A fire aura will most likely surround you depending on the amount of anger you release, along with a definite 5x increase in gravity and pressure, which comes from your mother and father's sides. Why haven't you showed yourself to me until now? Izuku was desperate for an answer, as he never once imagined his quirk could be so incredible. Your body simply couldn't handle it. That's the only answer I'll give. Your alarm is ringing, and you're about to wake up. Keep this on your mind. Tell All Might when you reach that Dagaba beach place or something, and make sure he knows about the potential consequences that may come to you. Goodbye, child of an inheritance, and when you come back here, I'll be better next time. The voice made sure Izuku knew that he knew about One for All, and child of an inheritance was a really blatant sign. Izuku Midoriya quirk. Rage Rider. Izuku's quirk allows him to hold in rage. When he holds it in for extended periods, he can release his power and buff his physical strength and speed by up to 150x with a maximum of an hour. He should be careful, as he takes 5x more damage from literally anything. Breath. Oh man, I'm back, thank goodness. Izuku turns off his alarm, realizing it's only 6 am. But even so, getting ready and arriving early to see what he's going to be doing for the day. Izuku gets off the bed and gets ready for the day, brushing his teeth, showering, the usual. He heats up a cup ramen, and while eating it has thoughts about his quirk, such as, is there a time limit? Will I even be able to generate enough anger to hold this up? What's with that voice in my head? Is he me? Am I him? Why am I still here? I gotta get going. Izuku finished his ramen and left a note to his mother, who was still in bed, on the fridge. Going for a run. Gonna get back into training my body since I'm gonna be aiming for you. Hey, call me if you need anything. He finished the note and left the house, locking the door on his way out. All Izuku had on his mind is with All Might's quirk and his own. He's definitely going to become a hero, number #1 at that. And no one is going to get in his way. Izuku arrived at Dagobah Beach at about 6:10, with All Might not arriving for another 50 minutes. He had time to perform some warm-ups before any of his real training. He tried about some of his taekwondo from 6th grade. He wasn't super rusty, but he had to perform some moves to try himself out. 50 minutes later, All Might arrived in his hero form and told Izuku about his plan to get him into even better shape than before. Even though Izuku already had a plan, there was no point in not looking at what All Might was recommending. Aim to pass. American Dream Plan. 100 sit-ups plus 100 push-ups. 10-kilometer run. Daily martial arts training with me for 10 months. Aim to pass. American Dream Plan. Why did he copy the title for the top and bottom of the paper? Did I really have to remember it that much? And oh yeah, my quirk. I have to tell him about it. Izuku remembered his quirk and told All Might the name and the abilities that came with it. He was decently surprised, but was told that it just meant he was all the more worthy to be a suitable candidate for One for All. And as the day passed, he was told to be pushing garbage across the beach without his quirk, even though he shouldn't even really use it at the moment. Izuku continued pushing garbage across the beach, each day getting faster and better at the other amount of training he was required to do on the side of it. His mother didn't even really question why he was so hungry all the time. She just assumed he was bulking up even more on top of his training, and she took the liberty of making Izuku extra food on top of the food she was already making for dinner in order to leave Izuku decently full for when he was outside. Each day Izuku went back and forth across the beach, picking up garbage, getting faster and stronger and more experienced in different martial arts. Just because All Might had a punch once and win type of quirk, it didn't mean he didn't learn any martial arts to go along with it. He started going home to perform his 100 sit-ups and push-ups. Since his mother started getting worried about why Izuku was staying outside so late, he explained the situation of how he got a trainer to be more experienced and have an easier time capturing and defeating villains when he's a hero. And just in case something like that came for the exam. Inko believed her son as Izuku was a terrible liar, and always stuttered uncontrollably when he was doing so. These times, he stopped. In fact, he stopped stuttering entirely when speaking to her. It was a known fact he couldn't speak well in front of people, let alone crowds. But it turns out he'd been getting better at 𝐻𝐸. Thus, 3 months into the training, he managed to master 2 types of martial arts, and completed his beach training to push garbage across the beach. All Might was decently surprised at how fast he was able to clear everything. He managed to get some heroes on the case of actually taking the garbage off the beach. But otherwise, it was spotless. He remembered the times he spent on this beach with Nana Shimura and Gran Torino. How instead of pushing garbage he had to chase both of them across the sand, while they were using their quirks. By that time he already had One for All, so it was light work for the muscular man. Even so, he remembered laughing along with Nana and Gran, enjoying a beer while looking out into the sunset. Great times they were. Congratulations, young Midoriya. You've completed your training. And now, I want to know, are you ready to receive the power as the 30th user? Can you handle this? All Might asked this, hoping for a good answer. He knew that if young Midoriya declined, then he would have not wasted his time, but fell into a deep pit of diamond, when all he was looking for was a piece of gold. He would have to choose that boy Murray suggested. Young Tagada was it. I wonder how he's doing as Big 3, and as a 3rd-year student. As he was waiting for a response, Izuku started to tear up and cry. All Might didn't know any words to console the boy. He's never had a kid before. Well, never one he didn't put up for adoption in America upon birth. He wishes them well, but he can't have them caught up in the fight against All for One. All Might, thank you for this opportunity. I accept. Izuku replied, enthusiastic as ever, ready to receive the power. As the 30th of a lineage, he would have to learn what it meant to wield true power. July 12, 1910. What the hell, Yoichi? I gave you this power, and this is what you do with it. No longer will I be holding your stupidity any longer. I've got something special for you. All for One said, clearly pissed at the antics of what his brother had done. He gave him that power 𝗧𝗏𝗄 upgrade quirk, and now he thinks he can just trample all over his goals. He has tens of thousands of quirks at his disposal. The only reason he even bothered giving his brother this dual quirk is because he had them for years. There was no point in keeping it anymore when his quirk already gives him power over time. At least he won't be this weak thorn in my side anymore. Maybe we could even rule the world together. All for one thought to himself, clearly manic at the thought of having a world with his brother and himself at the helm, controlling everyone to their whims. But no, that couldn't happen since. I'm sorry, 𝐀𝐦, but I don't want to have this world under anyone's boot. People should be free to do as they like, not under the rule of one man. Yoichi Shigaraki responded to his brother, clearly depressed at the thought of holding the world hostage in some type of bird cage, unable to even think about ruling the world like some evil dictator along with his brother. How could he do this? Is always the thought that flooded his mind. Even if his brother gave him a quirk, that doesn't mean he has an obligation to follow him into some dumb war, much less into ruling Japan. Naive. That's all you are, Yoichi. Truly naive. To think that the strong should be on the same level as the defenseless garbage of the world is depressing at least and vexing at most. At least, you'll be trapped here. I made this vault especially for you, Yoichi. Now, get in. All for one forcefully trapped his brother inside of a vault quirk he took from a bank teller and inscribed it with a magic circle quirk he took from some short blonde buffoon, and his idiot robot brother tried to defend him. Too bad he took metal soul armor from him afterwards, or he would have been truly bothersome in the future. So much others tried to rule the country like a blue-haired bimbo, and her super ice quirk. Taking things from people was so easy. Too bad that after his brother, he'd never give again. Or would he? June 30th, 2175. If you want my power, you'll have to eat this. All Might said out of his hero form and holding out a piece of his hair. I have to eat hair, Izuku replied, clearly confused on the subject and why he has to eat a piece of All Might's hair just to receive his quirk. Transferring one for all requires DNA sharing, and I'm sure you don't want to eat my skin or one of my toenails, so eat this. Izuku looked disgusted at the thought of eating any of those things. Not like hair is much better. Izuku thought, making a disgusted face. Do you at least got some water so I could flush it down? I don't want to mix it into my food. All Might gave him a bottle of water that he had saved, and Izuku ate the hair and downed the water along with it. So when does the actual power portion come into play? Izuku said, bouncing on the soles of his shoes, excited at the thought of punching villains and immediately knocking them out without even trying. Calm down, young Midoriya. The power will come eventually. Maybe wait like 3 hours, and then, All Might was about to finish his sentence then. But the ground started rumbling around Izuku, who was currently on fire. He would try to run, but gravity pushed him on the floor even further, making it super hard for him to move even in his hero form, which he quickly transformed into in order to not be crushed by the overwhelming pressure. But as quickly as it came, it stopped, and left Izuku with green lightning surrounding his body. That also stopped after a minute or two of waiting. Young Midoriya, what was that? I never once acquired that kind of power when I first received one for all, and even still, it was just a minor lightning aura that came along with it. Was that your hidden quirk you talked about? Young Midoriya, who was still in shock at the power he just received, started having a massive headache. It felt like multiple people were talking inside of his head, arguing about stuff like, we need to help him. Can't we just give the guy an Adderall? Pretty sure this is a common manga trope. They all told the third voice collectively to shut up, which made him sad. But enough about his feelings. Izuku has a splitting headache and currently needs medication. All Might, who was standing by, called up a couple of heroes to come block off the area to fix the minor earthquake Izuku caused, while All Might took Izuku to Recovery Girl, who was kicking back with her feet up on the desk, about to have a drink of wine, when All Might pushed open the door with an unconscious Izuku in hand. Recovery Girl, we need some help over here. It seems this kid passed out in the middle of the road, and he needed some assistance. All Might told a half-truth, in order to not spoil that he transferred Izuku one for all, but Recovery Girl saw right through his facade. Seriously, man, you passed one of the greatest quirks onto this random kid. And wasn't he the one that rushed in to save that other kid from the sludge villain? Wow, in reality you might have just met one of your sons. Recovery Girl said with a smirk, knowing about All Might's constant getting around, and how he made kids like it was a factory. Too bad he couldn't meet them. They're all in America. You know, based on All Might's muscle buff quirk, they could all probably be heroes. Hell, they are probably patrolling around right now, I might have to meet up with one of them one day, Recovery Girl thought, gaining an even bigger smirk on her face as she thought about one of All Might's many kids. Things about All Might and Recovery Girl in this timeline. Recovery Girl was a Gen Ed support course student who graduated at 18 and is currently 30. All Might got around quite frequently with women. He currently has about 14 children. All Might knows for sure he didn't make 𝐬𝐻𝑒. He named each and every one of his kids and signed legal contracts with certain governments to not have their names changed. Recovery Girl is kind of like Midnight, but toned down. Recovery Girl will forever be a perma-virgin. Tragic for her. All Might actually has a quirk called Muscle Buff, which allows him to increase his muscle size, which was buffed by One for All. Things about All Might and Recovery Girl. All Might had a slight frown on his face after Recovery Girl insinuated 𝐬𝐻𝑒 was one of his sons because he was selfless. But it didn't really matter as 𝐬𝐻𝑒 needed medical treatment. Recovery Girl gave him a single kiss on the forehead, and he was rejuvenated. In fact, even the scars that were on his hands because of the sharp metal that were pushed around disappeared. He even grew by half a foot, making 𝐬𝐻𝑒 currently 6'1", which had Recovery Girl drooling. It didn't matter much, as he instantly woke up in a panic, with a shocked expression on his face. Young Midoriya, what happened? Sparks of flame were flying around your body, and the pressure around you increased dramatically. Are you all right? All Might asked in a hurry, worried for the future user of his quirk. He couldn't be harmed now, not when he just gave him the quirk. But it seems like he changed somehow. He has a blue, red, and yellow streak in his hair. And his right eye got slightly prismatic, as if he was staring into a kaleidoscope. I don't know. I heard voices in my head all of a sudden, and passed out. When I woke up the first time, I was in the world of my quirk. But there was about 29 others in there, all asking me questions. I couldn't answer though, since my voice and half my body was covered by some black substance that felt like whips. Maybe they were those past users that All Might talked about before. I don't know, just spitballing. Recovery Girl said, wiping the drool off her mouth while talking to 𝐬𝐻𝑒. Our Recovery Girl. I heard about your AC actions, healing Ingenium after the encounter with that anti-speed quirk user. And going out of your way to seal the cuts made by Toxic Chainsaw after his fight. Recovery Girl was flattered at the praise she was receiving, but had to keep her composure when talking to him. I appreciate you keeping tabs on my work, but after transferring One for All to you, your body couldn't handle the overwhelming power of multiple quirks inserting themselves into your body. Plus the fact that you already have a quirk can be seriously deadly. It's a good thing my quirk managed to fully heal you, or you would probably be dead. Chiyo talked to him seriously, making sure he actually knew about the dangers of having a quirk that could potentially blow his limbs off. Wait. Blow my limbs off? 𝐬𝐻𝑒 screamed, terrified that he received a power that could literally make him a cripple off of a single usage. Yeah, turns out One for All managed to reach singularity approximately 3 times, over the amount of users that actually managed to withstand the power. It seems like your quirk managed to make it happen earlier. So now, your quirk could be about 10 more powerful than when All Might had it. Sorry, but if you don't get used to this power, you will definitely die. Chiyo gave it to him straight and 𝐬𝐻𝑒 understood. He would have to get used to One for All in the 7 months before the entrance exams. Look, young Midoriya, I'll ask the staff if you could have permission to use Gym Epsilon, a specifically restricted gym for myself and Endeavor. Most of them know about the quirk I had, so I think they would understand if I told them you were my successor and needed special access to a high-ranked gym. All Might told 𝐬𝐻𝑒 this, and 𝐬𝐻𝑒 went along with it, eager to train under the All Might once again in the hero high school he was aiming to reach. 4-month time skip during their 4 months of training in Gym Epsilon. He met the hero Endeavor 6 times, and only spoke to him twice, and most of their conversations went like, "Oh man, Endeavor, may I please get your autograph?" 𝐬𝐻𝑒 asked with as much fire in his heart that Endeavor has in his flames. "I'm not willing to fall to the whims of All Might's brat." Endeavor spat out with an intense amount of venom. "You are only a stepping stone for my son to beat All Might." What is he talking about? Did I upset him somehow? Why is he calling me a brat? That bastard shouldn't be disrespecting me this way. The last thought made 𝐬𝐻𝑒 try to work without his brain towing him along, and instead spoke with his heart. "Excuse me, but what have I done to even deserve this? I'm just trying to train to become a pro hero." He tried to talk as if he was sincerely asking, but a hint of anger also left his voice. Endeavor didn't catch it, but he made a face and walked away to another part of the gym. Izuku kept it on his mind that he was simply just a bitter hero, and you should never meet your idols, but he met All Might, so he couldn't really keep that sentiment. Another thing that happened during the 4 months was Izuku getting used to One for All as Gran Torino came over to give Izuku a rundown on how he used to train All Might. Basically, it went like this. If he vomits once, it's fine. Twice, he'll be alright. There are times. Now he doesn't need anything. Literally just dismissing it until he pukes up his guts 20 times. That's when he goes to Recovery Girl and repeats the process. But even with Gran Torino's harsh training regimen, and All Might shaking in his boots every time he was mentioned, he did actually know what he was doing, since he trained Izuku into learning how to use the powers of One for All without blowing his limbs off. The first time he even tried to use it, All Might told him to clench your butt cheeks together, and with all your heart, yell, smash. As he punched a stone pillar and broke it apart immediately, Recovery Girl was actually on standby in case Izuku blew his limbs off like he said. Alright, now it's time. Breathe in, clench your butt cheeks, and say, smash. Izuku punched another stone pillar adjacent from the one All Might just punched, and actually crumbled it. In fact, literally all of them around him crumbled as well. And he even seemed to crack the walls of 𝐸. Surprisingly not pissing off Nezu, since he's always insanely happy-go-lucky when he's pretending. Wow, I did it. I managed to use the power of One for All. Izuku paused for a moment before screaming at the top of his lungs and realizing, my arm, someone help my arm. After not limiting his power, he immediately broke his arm. And worse than he would have thought, bones were sprouting out from different places, and his arm was covered in a deep purple. Izuku kept screaming until All Might carried him over to Recovery Girl, who just woke up from a deep sleep, to a panicking All Might and knocked out Izuku. She eventually managed to patch the bone up and reattach them, before actually using her quirk on him. *Chiyo Shuzenji Quirk. Bone Rewind Rejuvenation. Chiyo's quirk allows her to reform bones back to their original state, and specifically bones. Rejuvenation speeds up the human healing process by 10x, allowing patients to be back in the workforce easier, but it makes the target tired after being healed. So as it turns out, maybe not saying the words clench your butt cheeks and yell smash can be a huge game changer when talking to a kid you just gave powers to. Chiyo went on a rant about how All Might's advice was garbage, and the freshly woken up Izuku and a saddened All Might had to listen for an hour on how he should regulate his power and spread it out, rather than force it out of one area of his body. That's mostly the story on how Izuku got his ass handed to him by his own power, and how he learned to use One for All. Full Cowling, which somehow managed to leak some power out of his original quirk, since when he uses Full Cowling, he retains about half the gravity multipliers around him, which can spread to about 200 meters after he practiced up, and the flame whips come out in a matter of throwable and controllable flame he could use to his advantage, not quite on the level of Endeavor, but he can at least hold a minor candle to him. A flame pun. 3 months later, the day of the entrance exam. Thank you so much, All Might. I feel ready to accomplish my goal, and nothing will stop me, Izuku said, clearly excited to completely dominate the entrance exam. Even if he doesn't know what's going to happen, he can feel that in his bones. He definitely has a real shot at getting into the hero course. Step 1 complete, Izuku thought. Now I'll definitely destroy Bakugo and prove to him I'm not a weak Deku anymore. I'm not that defenseless, quirkless kid from a month ago. I have an arsenal. No hero is just a one-trick pony, and my kit will prove that. Congratulations, young Midoriya, All Might said, clearly glad about what he did for young Midoriya. Thinking back on everything, how he first met young Midoriya under that bridge, saving him from the sludge villain and first training him at that beach, Nana would be proud to see what an incredible user this is now. Are you sure you'll be able to crush the competition? Never mind that. Are you sure you'll be able to hold back enough to not crush the competition too hard? You're only able to use 28% of that full cowling ability you have, so if you're able to hold back even more, do that. Heroes don't cause collateral damage, besides Endeavor obviously. Izuku and All Might both had a good laugh at that. But when finished, Izuku had his turn to talk. I promise you, All Might, I'll hold back enough, and I'll leave those heroes dumbfounded at just how powerful I am. Needless to say, Izuku was excited. Not only was this his first day to try out his new quirk against whatever he was going to be up against for the practical exam, but because All Might was personally dearving him to you. This has happened before, every time they went to train at Gym Epsilon, actually. But this would be his first time he was going, and would be staying, He had to tell his mother about how he was being trained by Toshinori Yagi, as 𝐀𝐻 didn't actually know All Might's real name, and he wouldn't be lying to her as well. No way was he gonna tell his prone-to-crying mother about how he was inheriting the strongest quirk ever. Maybe he could make up a name, but for now he's not telling anyone about One for All. The conversation was full of sobs, and it went mostly like this. Midoriya residence. An hour before he leaves for you. Izuku arrived home one morning after 9 a.m. after a rigorous training session with Gran Torino and All Might. Unable to even walk straight the way he got beat down by Gran. At least All Might held back, allowing him to get a hold of One for All, but Gran Torino was incredibly ruthless in the way he bounced around the gym, putting up the facade that he wasn't a day over 40, and it worked toward Izuku. He had no real idea to get a hang of Gran's constant movement, but he figured it out. When he unlocked the door, he was greeted by the sight of his mother sitting on her couch, looking somber while watching some old TV show called Judge Judy. But that didn't really faze Izuku, since he also enjoyed early 21st century shows and movies, especially that one where the killer chases those teens. Not really specific, but it fits a lot of horror moves, so he allowed himself to have those be his favorites. Izuku walked up to the couch, startling his mother, as she didn't even really know he had arrived in the house, so caught up in her show that it would probably be for the best if Izuku didn't talk to her for the day. But he digressed and left it at that. He went up to his mother to tell her about the news of being trained by Toshinori Yagi. Hey, Mom, are you all right? You seemed pretty caught up in your show. Is it that entertaining? Izuku chuckled for a moment, sitting next to his mother on the couch. Are you hungry at all? How long have you even been here? Izuku asked another question, surprised at how long his mother was taking to respond to him. I'm all right, dear, it's just... I've missed you so much. You've been spending so much time outside that I barely got to spend time with you. I know you're training and practicing for you. But a person, quirk or quirkless, always spends time with family. 𝐀𝐻 solemnly responded to her son, barely managing to keep eye contact as she was tearing up. Is she all right? Why is she so worried? Is she guilt-tripping me? Izuku thought to himself, and then thought again. Crap baskets. I have to tell her about my quirk. One for All stays a secret, but I can tell her about Rage Rider. Mom, I also have something to tell you. I do have a quirk. I've had one for the past 10 months, actually. Izuku told his mom about his quirk, clearly expecting her to go catatonic at the thought of her son not being quirkless like she originally assumed. When Izuku was young, they took multiple doctor's appointments, checking again and again to see if he actually had a quirk. Each time they went, he and his mother lost more and more hope, to the point where they stopped going altogether. Why didn't you tell me, Izuku? We could have had it registered together. This was a monumental moment, 𝐀𝐻 replied, astounded at the sentiment. I already had it registered, Mom. With my trainer, he's a staff member called Toshinori Yagi. He saw potential in me as a quirkless hero, so even when he heard I had a quirk, he still brought me up to where I am today. I called my quirk Rage Rider. He then told his mom about the ups and downs of the quirk, and how he had trained his emotions to be more under control. But the last part was the big reveal of the dorms that I was going to be having for Hero Course, Gen Ed, and Support Course students that All Might spoiled to him in the middle of their martial arts training. No, Izuku, please. You can't leave here. What am I gonna do without you? After your father left, I couldn't even bother staying here without him. And now you're leaving me too. 𝐀𝐻 pleaded with her son to stay. She had severe separation anxiety that started when she was left overnight in the forest, separated from her group in a summer camp, trapped with nobody, and her thoughts all to herself. 𝐀𝐻 cried and screamed until help eventually arrived to save her. When Hisashi, Izuku's father, left her after Izuku was first diagnosed as quirkless, it got even worse. So Izuku was her only company, and when he went off to school, she immediately walked outside in order to have the comfort of any type of civilization around her. 𝐀𝐻 eventually went to a therapist in order to work out her problems, keeping Izuku by her side as mostly a snuggle buddy rather than her son. The therapist dissected her problems one by one, starting with the summer camp she was a part of, and why it was so traumatizing for her to be in a forest. Then to Hisashi and why he was good company. Then to when he left her. It was good service, and 𝐀𝐻 managed to have most of her separation anxiety treated by this therapist, which is why she hadn't been acting out when Izuku went out so early in the morning. In her heart, He would always be there, right? I'm sorry, Mom. But you is really important to me. It's important I follow up on my dream, and it's important that I become a hero. I'll visit you anytime I can, and I would assume dorms wouldn't start up immediately anyways. Izuku said, mentally praying that he was right, and he wouldn't be lying to his mother. One stutter could be all it would take to get her to lose faith in him, and he wasn't ready to handle that just yet. All right. If this really is your dream, Izuku, then I'll support it. I don't want to be a bother, and I don't want to be clingy. I want to be a mother who supports her son. So as I said before, you can be a hero. Inko managed to say, with teary starry eyes. Thank you, Mom. Izuku started to sob in his mother's arms. The entrance. Izuku stood at the front of the entrance in awe of how huge the place was. Taking a step forward after All Might, who was in his true form in order to not cause any crowds to form at the sight of the #1 hero. Caught up in his thoughts, Izuku didn't notice himself literally tripping over his own foot and falling face first on the floor. I'm sorry, Mom, sorry All Might. Maybe I really am a failure. Izuku's thoughts were cut off when he felt a touch to his shoulder, and all the weight of him falling suddenly stopped. He got himself together, and then turned and saw a brunette-haired girl tapping her fingers together saying the words, release, before his feet touched the ground. Hey, sorry for using my quirk on you. Wouldn't want you falling before the exam. Have a good day. The brunette-haired girl ran off before Izuku got to tell her his name. Maybe another time, Izuku thought before continuing to walk towards the doors of the a building, making sure not to trip over himself this time. He walked past a smiling Bakugo, who gave him a smirk before walking off towards the written exam hall he was assigned to. After the written exam, which was incredibly easy since it was mostly subjective questions like how do you want to be a hero? How are you going to help society? And what is your favorite hero? Of course, there were way harder questions than that, but Izuku mostly breezed past them since he was highly intelligent and basic high school questions really weren't that much difficulty. He made his way to the hero course exam hall, which featured Present Mike, the voice hero, sitting on a chair with a desk in front of him, probably looking through scripts. Izuku tried not to release his inner fanboy, as he squealed just loud enough for some people to wonder where the sound was coming from, before sitting down in a seat. More students poured into the exam hall, as he saw the brunette girl that saved him sit down on his right before Bakugo sat on his left. Hey, aren't you the girl that saved me earlier? I never got to tell you my name, Izuku said, trying to be quiet as there was even more students entering the exam hall. Oh yeah, I never got to tell you mine's either. I'm Ochako Uraraka. Nice to meet you. She then vigorously shook Izuku's hand, to which Bakugo told her to shut up, in the most quiet voice he could muster, which is basically yelling. And my name is Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you. The one that yelled at you is Katsuki Bakugo. He's my friend and seems a bit rough, but really he's kind of a softie. To which Midoriya promptly got a slap to the back of his head by Bakugo. Much to his chagrin, when he was about to hit him back, Present Mike started talking. What's up, hero course exam participants? Can you give me a yeah? Izuku wanted to speak, but nobody else really had the same amount of excitement as much as the worry they had. So Present Mike got nothing back in response. Tough crowd, huh? Well, today you'll be taking the entrance exam for the hero course, which will feature multiple robots that you lovely participants will have to take part in. There are one-pointers, who mostly attack in a wide range of areas with slow, minuscule fake bombs, which can be defused. Destroying it obviously gives you a single point. The minimum requirement is about 45 points, which is shown on the papers you guys have received. There are more robots which I'll briefly get into. Izuku started muttering to himself, trying to get it through his head about the mechanics of each robot. He kept reading through his paper and managed to develop a decent fighting style. Bakugo was in shock at how much his muttering developed over the years, and Uraraka was in awe at the muttering and the detailed developments that went through it in general. Izuku pulled out a notebook and started writing in it about the functions and mechanics of each robot when suddenly, Mr. Present Mike, there is a robot that hasn't been mentioned at all during the speech, and it doesn't even have its mechanics and picture labeled on the manual. If this is a mishap, that would be extremely disappointing, as the high standards of should be too good for that. A tall blue-haired boy stood up and made some comments about the speech and the paper, to which Bakugo groaned at an interruption when he was trying to focus up for the rest of the exam. And you? The blue-haired boy pointed to Izuku, while also making gestures at Bakugo and Uraraka. Can you please quit your muttering? You're interrupting the participants with your distraction. What? What did I do this time? I'm trying to focus for my test. Izuku's thoughts busted out in some words that he'd probably wish he kept to himself. Before Bakugo spoke up for him, Izuku rose to his feet and looked the blue-haired boy in the eye. How dare you interrupt exam hall with your self-centered self? You were the only one who was interrupting the exam. Maybe if you had waited, Present Mike would have explained to us the robot not mentioned. Izuku yelled out to the blue-haired boy, who was about to respond. But then Present Mike told them, "Participants, can we take it down a notch? I know you're feeling pretty excited about the exam, but you don't have to start yelling like you have my quirk." Present Mike chuckled in the heat of the moment, clearly thinking he was funny, but nobody moved their eyes from the glares that the two boys were giving to each other. Now, the zero-pointer robot, the one which you were talking about, serves no purpose other than to be a distraction. Avoid it when you can see it. Just to clarify, it's nothing other than a useless bot that will waste your time. Avoid it at all costs and try to be nimble in order to not let it see you. Present Mike explained the zero-pointer, leaving a scary undertone that got everybody to really focus up. The blue-haired boy and Izuku continued staring at each other for a minute with fire in their eyes, until a minute later when Present Mike told them they could head to their designated gates. Izuku made sure to walk up to Uraraka and Bakugo and wish them good luck before the exam actually started. "Thanks, Midoriya-kun, but I'm sure I won't need it," Uraraka said, clearly thankful for the luck. But Bakugo scoffed with a small smirk and headed to his separate battle area, ready to crush the entire competition. "Are you ready? Be ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Izuku bursts off into his assigned battle area before even waiting for the countdown, breaking through the wall and immediately heading for a group of 5 two-pointers, dismantling them with a 10% Delaware smash, making a giant gust-off wind that also blew apart a one-pointer that was standing behind the rest. Everybody that was still inside their gated areas looked slack-jawed at the show of power Izuku was showing off. But Present Mike had to break the silence. "Well, it seems that listener has the right idea. Heroes don't usually haw countdowns to save villains, so go, go, go." Present Mike encouraged the participants to rush off. And so they did, heading for any 1, 2, or 3 pointers they could find before Izuku or anyone else could destroy them. Whoa, my power is really overflowing, isn't it? A shame I can only limit myself to a certain percentage, but I feel like I could do more given the chance. Izuku talked to himself while battling some 2 and 3 pointers. They threw basically everything in their arsenal at him, and he still made it out of the fight with minimal injuries. Even All Might got jealous thinking that Izuku might break his a record. Izuku kept on fighting, blowing apart some lots of 1 and 3 pointers, when he saw the Ochako running alone. But he decided not to talk to her in order to not mess up her game plan. Seems like there's people that need saving, Izuku thought in his head when he had to grab a tired purple-haired kid that was trapped in rubble and being guarded by one-pointers. He destroyed the one-pointers and took the purple-haired kid to the top of another building. "Hey, are you all right? You all look kind of tired. And not to assume you look bad or anything, I just..." Izuku was cut off before the purple-haired kid said, "Look, don't be so on edge. My name is Hitoshi Shinso, and I'm not tired, I'm just dazed." "Oh, all right, Shinso-kun, if you don't have a weapon, I'll give you this sword-looking thing that I found while destroying some robots. It looked like one was jammed inside before it eventually exploded. Have it," Izuku said, before eventually bursting off with a gust of wind, forgetting to tell Shinso his name. Not that he'll need to remember it anyways. Staff room. "Don't get cocky, young Midoriya. 204 points will be a hard thing to beat when comparing to me in my prime," All Might said quietly enough that nobody else but Eraserhead noticed. But he kept his mouth shut in order to not butt in on whatever type of personal business that All Might had with the kid. Personal connections between student and teacher are rare, much less connections that are normal. No, All Might is an actually good hero. He wouldn't do something like that. And he's smiling as if he's proud of the boy. I might even start having faith in the kid too, Eraserhead said, putting suspicion away in his head. Darn. It seems like some of the kiddos this year might actually be good enough for even Eraserhead's class, Snipe said, watching a black-feathered bird boy with use multiple bird-like shadows that destroy one-pointer robots in dozens. It's a good thing Power Loader built multiple of these big boys. Lots of fresh meat to be put on the chopping block, Midnight said, licking her lips slightly while looking at two boys, one who turned into half the size of a two-pointer and started pummeling it with his arms. And another boy with purple orbs on his head. Throw them at a bunch of one-pointers, splattering purple goo, getting each of them stuck and saving 2 other kids trapped under small amounts of rubble. It seems even Power Loader's 3-pointers aren't even enough. There's this kid that just touched them and blew them up, shouted 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐻, as they watched in amazement as 𝗵𝘃𝐸 completely blew apart a 3-pointer. Everybody started gathering up at the screen watching 𝗵𝘃𝐸 mercilessly destroying robots left and right, using multiple battle tactics that were unheard of for a 16-year-old. There was many other children that could do martial arts, but not to his level. Then All Might pointed to another screen where Izuku was destroying 3-pointers with ease, saving people around it without a second thought. Since these respected participants are getting too nonchalant, it's about time we release them. Nazi tackles as he opened the lid that was on the red button to release the 0-pointers across the battle areas, and pressed them without a second thought. Many of the teachers, especially All Might, giving him a scared look, while Eraserhead was annoyed out of his mind that his sleep was getting consistently ruined. His fault that he chose the staff room, I guess. Izuku's battle area, man, what a rush. I've never felt so free in my life. And I haven't even seen a 0-point. Izuku's rambling was cut off when the ground suddenly started rumbling immensely, and a gigantic robot came out of the ground. It's the 0-pointer. A random participant said, getting many screams and getting people to run away without a second thought, trampling over each other trying to run away from it. While Isuzu kept staring in awe at how massive it was, he heard a pained cry coming from 2 pieces of crushed rubble. Someone help. I'm stuck in here. Izuku rushed over to the pained cry and saw Uraraka stuck inside of rubble. Uraraka-san, are you alright? Can you move anything at all? Can you use your quirk? Izuku bombarded the girl with questions, trying his hardest to see if the girl was alright. Seeing as she was basically his first friend in years, he had to do anything in order to see if she was okay. I can use my quirk, but the rubble above me makes it so I can't turn and put my finger on it. Plus my ankle is broken. Uraraka said, clearly slurring her words, trying to piece together what's happening, while the 0-pointer kept stomping towards them. I'll free you with my quirk. Izuku used 5% of OFA to push the piece of rubble off. But you're gonna have to make a run for it, since I'm gonna have to beat this thing, Izuku said, pointing out towards the 0-pointer. Why, you're crazy. That thing is crazy strong. What if you don't make it back? You don't have to sacrifice yourself. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is part of being a hero, Izuku said, powering 25% of One for All into his legs before jumping up to the 0-pointer, not bothering to regulate the power that was in his arm. Izuku punched. Smash! Izuku's voice was greatly amplified as he punched the 0-pointer so hard. Its entire top half completely disintegrated. In fact, the air pressure traveled so far he destroyed a couple more 3- and 2-pointers along the way, making Izuku lose his count of points he actually managed to get. Damn it. My arm is busted, and the muscles in my legs are tugging on themselves. If I use a Delaware smash with one of my fingers, would I be able to even stop myself? Well, I'm gonna have to try. Izuku came up with a game plan in his head for a landing, and decided to power up his finger for a chance to save himself. Asterisk smack. Asterisk. You Uraraka-san, thanks for the save, Izuku said, after Uraraka proceeded to slap him just to get him to stop falling. Reason for the slap? She just couldn't reach. So sorry Midoriya-kun-bi, but I couldn't reach out and a slap was the only thing I could do. Why, you're still welcome though. Ochako thumbed her fingers together with a small release, and Izuku fell and hugged her with only his working left arm. As a hero, you would have to do anything necessary to save your comrades. Izuku got his message through before he passed out, still hugging Uraraka. She used her quirk on him again to have him in the sky, so he wasn't standing, and dragged him in the air with her quirk, in order to reach Recovery Girl, who was already running to the scene. Good job for keeping him from me, but you can place him down. Ochako removed the effects of her quirk from Izuku, making his body hit the floor with a soft thud, promptly getting a slap to the back of the head from Recovery Girl. Oh, what's the point of that? Idiot. He was just injured. You could have dragged him from the air with your strength, and then removed the effects while he was on the ground, making it easier for his brain and his actual recovery, Chio said, pissed of the sheer ignorance of the girl in front of him. Then she started to cry. Ugh, alright, I'm sorry. You could have done better, but I shouldn't have hit you. And realized that you also could have had injuries just like the boy in front of you. Now do you have a foot injury? Because I could see your limp. Why, yeah, I broke my ankle when the rubble piled on me. Here. 𝐻𝐡𝐚𝐭 laid down in order for Recovery Girl to start the healing process, which was over pretty quickly. Here, eat these gummies. Don't want you getting tired before you walk back to the site. I'll take care of the boy. You go. 𝐻𝐡𝐭 took one last look at 𝐬𝐻𝐻 before walking away, hoping that he and her both passed the exam. 𝐬𝐻𝐻's mind Rage Rider's domain, 𝗵𝗲. I'm back here again. It looks more clear now. Actually, it kind of looks like a beach with stars. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 looked up at the sky, which had exactly 31 stars in the sky, with a gigantic one in the middle that seemed to start speaking to him. Hey kid, it's me, your Quirk. I'm having a party in here. Did you know that King #### and this #### girl really know how to boogie? Rage Rider started talking to him, seemingly from the gigantic star in the middle of the rest. Good job on the entrance exam. How did you know all those written exam questions? Most of them were pretty tough. I mean, I am known for being kind of an analyst, so maybe that transferred over for the exam. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 said this to Rage Rider with a chuckle. Look, you did a good job, but there's still things you don't know while I'm in this bathroom thing. I don't know, but I'm in a stall, so I'm safe to tell you this for now. One for All has more aspects than you may think. It can even mess with your DNA depending on how you use it. There was a user before you, and he was a guy who had women on him left and right. Honestly, there's like 2 other people who were just like him, only slightly less horny. And one of them kinda killed 3 supervillains with just his quirk, and this one combined. So keep that in mind. Your quirk can affect multiple others. But try your hardest to keep this quirk secret, as you won't be able to avoid most enemies that you may meet who want you for its sole purpose. You're waking up now, please, 𝗵𝗃. Keep this in mind. Rage Rider talked his last, before 𝐬𝐻𝐻 finally moved back to the material world. Normal world Recovery Girl's office. He's waking up. Young 𝗵𝗃, are you all right? You passed out standing. All Might said in a panic as 𝐬𝐻𝐻 jolted up. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Seems like Recovery Girl's quirk really fixed me up good. I'm feeling well rested and incredibly chilled out. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 rolled his arm around in amazement, as after he punched the 0 pointer, his knuckles were black, blue, and all other kinds of purple. His fingers were bent at odd angles, and his entire arm had bones coming out. But surprisingly, his arm didn't have any color to it after. Not that he could remember before he passed out, at least. 𝗵𝗃, that 100% smash should never be used again, unless in dire circumstances. That could have actually killed lots of people that were participating in the exam. You're lucky they ran away, unless their deaths would be in your hands. Recovery Girl told 𝗵𝗃 the truth while he looked down solemnly. He realized that maybe lower percentages were required for certain things. Villains aren't supposed to be killed. They're supposed to be captured. He dwelled on this for a moment before getting up from the bed and talking to Recovery Girl. Thanks, RG. I already knew how to regulate my power. But my original quirk just made me so angry. I had to save your Araka, no matter the repercussions. Maybe that's how it feels to save someone. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 looked down, and Recovery Girl knew that sentiment was really heartfelt. Congratulations on your performance, young 𝗵𝗃. With my training, I'm sure you passed. All Might said in his normal form, already knowing the outcome, but managing to keep it hidden under his hopeful exterior. Thanks, All Might, for everything. You really are number #1. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 said before walking away, keeping his head up and a smile on his face. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 left the building and took a train home, not bothering to go back home in All Might's van. Everyone already left the property besides some pros that were keeping watch. They gave 𝐬𝐻𝐻 a look of confusion, but left him alone. While 𝐬𝐻𝐻 was on the train, he had some more thoughts. How will I regulate One for All's power? I can barely even regulate it enough in certain limbs. And that 25% I did in certain limbs surely took a toll on me. It doesn't matter now. When I get home, I'll have to wait for my applications to arrive, and only then will I be able to train properly. The train reached 𝐬𝐻𝐻's stop, and he promptly left. 𝐬𝐻𝐻, how was the exam, honey? Did you do good? Hopefully 𝗷𝗵𝗃𝗃 don't know if it could actually handle. Chill, mom, I'm fine. I asked my trainer when the results were going to be in, and he said most likely in a couple of weeks. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 replied to his muttering mother, which certainly took a weight off both of their chests, to which 𝐬𝐻𝐻 went to his room and played in his bed, just trying to take a couple of minutes to himself, before getting up and performing his necessary tasks, showering, changing clothes, brushing his teeth, and 𝐬𝐻𝐻 went to his bed and slept, hoping that he would actually be able to do it. He would actually be able to accomplish his dream. 2 weeks after the entrance exam. 𝐬𝐻𝐻, it's here. The results from your entrance exam is here. 𝐀𝐦 yelled out to Isuzu, who immediately rushed out the bathroom, only to realize his toothbrush was still in his mouth. So he spit out whatever toothpaste he had, washed out his mouth, and put the toothbrush back before going downstairs. Come on, Izuku, open it already. I want to see if your first big shot at being a hero will actually be a success. 𝐀𝐦 was ecstatic and hurried Izuku to open the letter up as fast as he could, to which Izuku completely ripped it open and a disc came out of the letter. Do we need a CD player or something? Those were discontinued in like 20. Izuku's question was quickly answered when a holographic All Might came out of the disc and started talking to him. Congratulations, you Izuku Midoriya. Izuku tried to hold back his laughter to All Might slip up, to which 𝐀𝐦 noticed but quickly shut up about when All Might started talking again. Incredible job on the entrance exam. You have actually managed to score the highest out of any student, managing to acquire a whopping 505 points, even beating out my record when I was a student. So congrats again, Midoriya-san. This is your Hero Academia. 𝐀𝐦 and Izuku quickly burst out in tears when they saw Izuku's score for the exam, on top of everyone else who managed to compete. Top 5 scores. #1. Izuku Midoriya 253 hero points, vertical bar 251 villain points. #2 Momo Yaoyorozu 117 hero points, vertical bar 87 villain points. #3 Katsuki Bakugo 9 hero points, vertical bar 89 villain points. #4 𝗵𝗃𝐻 Takoyami 57 hero points, vertical bar 64 villain points. #5 Denki Kaminari 33 hero points, vertical bar 50 villain points. Top 5 scores. You did it, Izuku. You really did it. 𝐀𝐦 burst out in tears as she hugged her son, still shell-shocked at the fact her son had such a high score. She knew he could do it from the time he was a kid. No matter what, even if he had some type of dormant or useless quirk, he would definitely become a hero. You're right, Mom, I did do it. This is my Hero Academia, Izuku. Come downstairs. Breakfast is ready, and I had some of your favorite katsudon ready too. Just be ready for your first real day at you. Eh? 𝐀𝐦's mother called Izuku down for breakfast, with her usual warm tone. A real shame Izuku would have to leave it behind. Thanks, Mom, you always know what I like. That's because all you really like is katsudon and heroes. What? Nothing, I said nothing. Izuku gave his mother a confused look before scarfing down the rest of his food. The last that he would actually be getting from his mother, at least. So, if Katsuki is in your class, what'll be your guys' hero names? 𝐀𝐦 made small talk with her son before he finished his katsudon. I gave him a name before this. Ground Zero. Hopefully he'll keep it. And for my hero name, I don't know yet. To be honest, I have no idea what I can even do with my hero name. Izuku held his head in his hands in a slight amount of frustration before he said that, I'm not an official hero yet. I'll decide my name when I get the chance. Izuku stood up, going to the sink and washing his dish, before packing his bags. I appreciate you a lot, Mom, for not letting me give up. Thank you. Before Izuku left, they shared a big hug. Bye, Izuku. I'll see you. Come visit for the holidays. 𝐀𝐦 waved to her son from the balcony, who was already running off to catch the next train. Don't worry, Mom, I'll still be there. As he ran for the train station, he used his Suica card and went downstairs, then waited a minute and saw the train coming. Izuku resisted, bouncing on the soles of his feet, ready to jet as fast as possible. A different train asterisk. Asterisk 𝐻𝐢 asterisk. Sorry. I apologize for my terrible sneeze, but somewhere out there I just felt something weird. As if somebody was about to start running. The blue-haired boy that Izuku had argued with felt some type of disturbance, as if his quirk wasn't good enough. But he had a pretty fast quirk, so it's not like someone is outspeeding him. Right. Once again, so sorry. The people on his train cab looked at him with a type of questioning on their faces, before focusing back on whatever they were doing, unaware that the blue-haired boy was going to follow in my brother's footsteps, Izuku's train. Izuku was on his train, thinking about his first day, how he would decide his hero name, and if his hero costume should still be that All Might onesie he had and didn't take off for a full 10 days. Okay, that was a dumb idea, but still he had no real ideas for it. As his train was quickly approaching the station, he got up and onto a handle, only to barely miss and fall, only to feel something soft on his head, and him barely having his feet on the ground. Oh, are you all right? So, Izuku was stuck in the middle of a train, head in between. Boobs. I swear this is actually as important, I promise. What? and who he fell on will be important for later. Oh, oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Izuku quickly retracted his head and stood up straight to get down on his knees to apologize, but his head was patted. It's okay, these are just my flame sacks. Here. Want to feel? And no, sorry, I can't do that, not at all. I just met you, lady. Izuku left the train as fast as possible, and the petite pink and yellow-haired girl followed after him, clearly trying to say something, but he wasn't listening as he was already incredibly embarrassed and was trying to get to you. And as fast as possible. Phew, I got away. Even though I look like some kind of perv, it was better to get off the train than stay and look like an idiot. They were pretty soft though. Izuku screamed internally at that last thought, and it managed to reach the outside world. No, Izuku yelled, and somehow his voice managed to create some sort of flame out of his mouth, and the ground also shook in retaliation. What? What happened? As Izuku was trying to figure out what was going on, he quickly realized that he was going to be late and was directly in front of you. Grounds, so he rushed inside as fast as possible before the gates closed, trying his hardest not to question why what happened even occurred. 1A, Class 1A. Oh, here it is. Izuku opened the door and was met with a sight that pissed him off internally. Curse my shitty luck. In the class, the blue-haired boy and 𝐻𝐸 were fighting, which a hot pink-skinned girl and an invisible person in clothes were laughing hysterically at. For the last time, get your feet off the desk. That is incredibly disrespectful to the manufacturers and the senpai that sat here before us. You think I give a shit, glasshead? Who are you to even have such a stick up your ass anyways? I am 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐸 from Semi-Private Academy, and once again I am telling you to get your feet off the desk. Oh wow, a dirty elitist. I'll blow you to high hell. Hey Midoriya-kun, I expected you to be here since you have first place on the exam. Ochako walked up to Izuku, much to the interest of everybody who quickly turned their heads to face him. Maybe. I shouldn't have said that. Ha, ha. Ochako discreetly laughed, and much to Izuku's chagrin, everybody came up to him, asking how he managed to get first place on the Quirk apprehension test. Izuku spotted a sleeping bag in the corner of the room, and it started moving. And then, somebody emerged from the sleeping bag, a man with long raggedy black hair and a long scarf around his neck. It took a single one of you to notice me in the span of 11 seconds. Disgraceful. Everybody in the classroom turned to the mysterious figure. Multiple people found the air incredibly hard to breathe in and started having coughing fits upon even being near the man. My name is Shouta Aizawa. I'll be your homeroom teacher for the year. Now take these uniforms and head outside. You have about 10 minutes to get ready, or I'll be starting without you. Shouta Aizawa Quirk. Erasure. Shota's quirk can simply erase somebody's quirk just by looking at them. He can even make it have a 10-second long-lasting effect, but it aids to his serious dry eye. The quirk can also erase 75% of the air and any object with a mass of 2 kg or below within a 2-meter radius of himself, which is the reason he has a specialized classroom for himself, only with objects that he can't just erase immediately. Izuku looked in awe at the uniform that his so-called teacher was holding. It was a gym uniform, symbol attached. He tried his hardest not to have a fanboy burst, but flames started escaping from his torso, and he had to calm himself down before he burned down the classroom. He left the classroom and went into the boys' locker room, getting a look at the rest of the students who were with him. So hey, you're the one who got the highest on the practical exam, right? How did it feel whooshing your way up to the top? A boy with yellow hair and a streak of black asked Izuku, totally stoked at how one of his classmates has such a powerful quirk. The name is Denki Kaminari, by the way. What's yours? Kaminari sticks out his hand for a handshake, waiting for Izuku's response. Sorry, I didn't really expect to be bombarded with questions so soon. Izuku gives Kaminari a handshake in return. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and the ways I rise to the top are secret. Holy crap, was I being too arrogant? Are they gonna make fun of me for being so cringy? Screw those guys. Izuku almost started cold sweating before a boy with spiked red hair came up to him. It's super many to be able to get to the top so quickly, but hiding your training regime? Not cool, man. I knew it. I really am arrogant. Just kidding. Having secrets is totally fine. Just keeping your power secret is totally manly. The name is Eijiro Kirishima. Nice to meet you. Kirishima vigorously shook Izuku's hand, forcing Kaminari to let go of his other hands. Soon enough, The rest of the guys from his class started telling him their names and everything else. Even though they were probably going to do some stupid roll call later in the day, it's kind of nice to have such fun people hanging around you. But Bakugo was in his own little world at the moment. What the hell? How did Deku manage to totally outclass me in that practical? Damn it all. I'll destroy him next time we do a test, for sure. Katsuki made sure to have a devious grin on his face, which went totally unnoticed by anyone who was gawking at how Izuku got such a high score on the practical. Hurry it up in there. We don't have all day, and I need to get this done as fast as possible. Everybody made sure to finish their conversations quickly as possible before making their way towards the field area, where their teacher was sitting, waiting for the rest of them. You all need to learn how tone fast and punctual, scratch that, be easily to the party. Heroes can't waste a second on a line of duty. Anyways, we'll be doing a quirk apprehension test. You all have done something like this before in middle school, except it was probably without your quirks. Here you'll be testing how strong your quirks are, and you get to use them freely in specific tests to see how you'll do when it comes to hero work. Aizawa talked sternly to the rest of his students, in which all of them managed to get the message. What happened to the orientation? Weren't we supposed to gather in the auditorium for it before getting ahead to any work? We won't be doing orientation. See, in my class, I call the shots around here. You'll be doing the test, plain and simple. Aizawa waited for Ochako's counter-response, but it never came. So maybe they are smart enough after all. Most students would usually make more of a fuss before anything else, but these children have a special something in them. Midoriya, since you got first place in the practical exam, what was your original distance in meters in a ball throw? Aizawa called out Izuku, to which he answered pretty quickly. About 47 meters. Do the same thing you did originally, but use your quirk this time. Aizawa threw a fastball at Izuku, to which he caught it pretty quickly. Fast reflexes. I even erased his quirk for a second, and he still caught it. This one is going to be special. I'm sure of it. Izuku made sure to step inside the circle that was marked down with some cement. Make sure not to step outside of the circle. Of your mark will not count, seeing as the rest of the students all need to be able to have a fair contest. Don't worry, I got this. Izuku charged up one for all up to 20% in all of his fingers, that alone creating a massive gust of wind that made some of the students had to stomp their feet in the ground. A boy with purple balls for hair had to grab on to another kid with multiple arms, just so he didn't fly off. You guys ready for this one? Izuku asked through the gusts of W&D, totally not affected by any of it. In fact, while this was happening, it felt like the air was heating up around them, and gravity was forcing them back into the floor, which almost made everybody put their guard up, but they knew better than that. One of my improvised moves, quadruple Delaware. Smash. Izuku launched the ball as far as possible, doing a little spin to get it to go even farther, creating 5 different spaces of air traveling in insanely different directions, each in the directions his fingers were pointing in. And by the time the dust settled, and everybody was standing upright, albeit with their hair incredibly ruffled and uniforms torn in certain areas, everybody stared at Aizawa in shock, who read the scores behind his jacket, trying his hardest not to laugh as hard as possible. PFF. PFFT. Ha 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 ha. Everybody was confused, and especially Bakugo, who expected an incredibly high score from Izuku after that show of power. What the hell are you laughing for, hobo? Tell us his score, unless it was that shitty to the point you had to laugh at how bad it was. Katsuki knew that last part was definitely not happening, but he was praying a little bit on Izuku's downfall in order for him to show even greater powers in the next ball throw, so everybody can gawk at him instead, and know who's really top dog around his school. The score, well, Izuku Midoriya's score, is infinity. Aizawa ceased his laughing in order for everybody to look at him, and Izuku dumbfounded. That is not what you're going to be competing up against. Realistic scores for people with insanely powerful emitter quirks are around 10 kilometers. But for now, that is one of your classmates' potential. Respect him for it. Do not fear him. Try to get to know your hero course classmates like they are comrades for life. You all are heroes. Treat each other like heroes. People looked at Izuku, incredibly shook at his show of power. But this got people fired up and cheering, powering up their quirks in response to his speech. But a certain Katsuki Bakugo was glaring in the background, utterly enraged at Izuku's show of power. Infinity. That's total bullshit. Even if he had some stupid quirk, it shouldn't be able to throw people away just by powering up. Damn it, Izuku. I remain in your shadow. I'll teach you and that old hag to stop looking down on me. 𝐻𝐡𝐬𝐬 crushed his hands in frustration. Hell yeah, free use of our quirks. 𝐀𝐦 fired a blast of lightning from his hands into the sky, almost creating a thunderstorm, but he absorbed it back into himself, stoked at what was to come. I can tell this is definitely going to be fun. A girl with pink skin said, jetting acid onto the floor. Not adhesive enough to burn, but it definitely singed some grass. Fun? Sorry, we aren't supposed to be having fun when this is very clearly going to be a serious test. If this is going to be so fun, then the person who comes last throughout all of the exercises will be expelled on the spot. Aizawa looked at all his students with a serious look in his eye, and again, that feeling of not being able to breathe was applied to the students, but was lessened due to being outside. One student stepped up to say something about his expulsion. How is this fair? We just got here. Aren't we supposed to have some sort of chance before any expulsion happens? An invisible girl asked this question, clearly confused about how they are already getting threatened with anything when they just got started with the class. Sorry, but our natural disasters then can wipe out multiple thousands of people fair. Tsunamis washing away towns, earthquakes that eat people whole, volcano accidents that burn people alive. Are they fair? Not to mention villain attacks that leave civilians and heroes and people on the line of duty, injured, or even worse, dead. If you don't make the cut, then you shouldn't be here. Plain and simple. He's right, everybody, Izuku said, looking down at the ground to avoid any type of glares. These things aren't fair, and if you don't make the cut to be a hero, you might not even have the skills to fend off a low-tier villain. Even if you do have a decent enough quirk, we should try our hardest in order to live up to the standards of real pros. The students continued staring at Izuku dumbfounded, but they realized that he was definitely correct, and they should learn how to be better as heroes and have more empathy for those who don't have the power to protect themselves. Alright, we're gonna do some tests, starting with a 50-meter dash. We'll go from there. Some tests will be going by seat number like this one, so Mina Ashido and Yuga Aoyama, please get ready. The 50m dash went smoothly. Aoyama started off with a burst of light from his feet, almost sending him off balance, with Ashido catching up smoothly, using slick movements from the acid on her feet to catch up, overtake Aoyama, and win. 7.93 for Aoyama and 7.01 for Ashido. Good enough. Probably some better scores that can overcome these two. He was right. Ida and a frog girl, Tsuyusui, went up next. They got 3.42 and 6.23 as their respective scores. Very good. Let's keep the average at 5.0. Even if you can't get it, anything in the range is perfectly acceptable. Uraraka and Tail Boy Mashiroajiro were up next, getting 5.49 and 3.42 as their scores. The one with the tail is as fast as Ida. They really do have incredible potential. Then went Kaminari and Kirishima, Kaminari getting a 1.54 and Kirishima getting 8.93 as their scores. Enveloping yourself in lightning. Good move, Kirishima. Your natural speed is fast, but you've got more going for you than you think. Denki Kaminari. Quirk. Thunder and Lightning Rod. Kaminari's quirk is incredibly versatile, being able to release thunderclaps by clapping his hands together, releasing lightning from any part of his hands, and even being able to take lightning straight out of the sky and launch it down on people. When he overuses his lightning, he gets dumber, but is easily countered by him being able to absorb electricity from anywhere, making himself smarter. Thanks, Aizawa-sensei. Kirishima gave Aizawa a thumbs up, to which he smiled in his scarf, not letting anyone see, of course. He can't be known as a soft teacher after all. Ijiro Kirishima quirk. Solid mineral. Kirishima's quirk allows him to harden his body to insane levels, and he gains insane attack power, which lets him dish out wild amounts of damage. He can also change the mineral he hardens into. He can also become a soft mineral like talc, allowing him to reflect even gunshots. Each mineral form lasts a separate amount of time, and gets longer depending on how powerful the quirk 𝐬𝐬 deems it as. As the 50m dash continued to ramp up, the match that everybody was likely waiting for came. Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo head out to the starting line. Midoriya and Bakugo walked out to the starting line, ready to decimate the competition. Well, that was mostly Bakugo, since all Izuku wanted to do was get a decent enough score. Ready, to Izuku, I'm gonna crush you for sure. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. We won't know until we finish. Enough with that philosophical Schrodinger's cat bullshit. I'm really gonna destroy you now. Bakugo growled out that last part, which made Izuku feel a bit on edge. Not like it was really gonna do anything else, as he could sense Bakugo was way slower than him anyways. Izuku powered up his legs to 25%. Consequences be damned. Am I gonna be just like Kakin and crush the competition? Izuku shared the same feral look on his face as Katsuki, getting them even more fired up. 3, 2, 1. Go. What happened next was in the blink of an eye. Izuku was already at the end of the track, while Katsuki hadn't even set off an explosion, to which made him immediately started moving. What the hell? I barely even set off a spark, and he's already at the end. Aizawa, what's the score? First off, Bakugo, it's Aizawa-sensei. Second, your scores were. Aizawa stared at the screen in shock. 1 for Midoriya, and 371 for you. No way. Was the thought the rest of Class 1 had on their minds. They had never seen such strength and speed before. Midoriya, a boy with dual-colored hair, walked up to Midoriya. Are you a descendant of All Might in any way? Izuku tried to come up with a response, but he was trying to hold back giggles. And no, I PFFT. I'm not All Might's descendant. I'm not at all related to All Might. Izuku walked away to lean on a tree so he could avoid laughing at the dual-haired kid's question. After the Quirk apprehension test, a logical ruse. Everyone in Class 1 was incredibly confused at what Aizawa said, as they were just under threat of being expelled. Yeah, the expelling part was a ruse to get you all to try your best. And here's your scores. A projection screen showed up just like the one Izuku got when he passed the entrance exam. Scores: 1. Izuku Midoriya 2. Shoto Todoroki 3. Momo Yaoyorozu 4. Katsuki Bakugo 5. Denki Kaminari 6. Mizo Shoji 7. Tenya Ida 8. Mina Ashido 9. Ochako Uraraka 10. Ijiro Kirishima 11. Kyoka Gyro 12. Fumikage Tokoyami 13. Hantashiro 14. Mashirawa Jo 15. Koji Koda 16. Rikido Sato 17. Tsuyu Usui 18. Yuga Ayama 19. Minor Minta 20. Toru Hagakure scores. Needless to say, none of you guys did too badly. Since I was the one who even bothered implementing the ranking system, it would be obvious there would be bottom spots. But be wary, you are on the chopping block, but you still have potential to be even greater. Rise up, plus ultra and all that. Alright, everyone get back in your classrooms, and make sure to do introductions on your own. I'm taking a long nap. After your introductions, you're gonna have normal classes like English, literature, math, and so on. The schedule is on the door, and there is specifically 20 for each of you. Have a good day. Aizawa finished his speech, went to grab his sleeping bag and took a nap outside, while everyone else went to their classrooms. About dorms. Wait a moment, I'm getting there. The classroom. Alright everybody, if we're going to do introductions, we're going to have to be on the clock. We're going by seat numbers. Ida stood at the front of the classroom, chopping his arms in excitement. Anticipation? I don't know why he's doing it, but he looks stupid, was the thoughts of mostly everyone. Seat number #1, always fitting for the dazzling Yuga Aoyama, messieurs and madams. I am Yuga Aoyama, and my quirk, body lasers. Yes, you can start praising me now, as the most genial quirk of all gets its time to shine like gold. Aoyama started doing poses before the class eventually asked him to sit down, to which he did, all while strutting as if he was on a runway and posing going behind every seat. Hey everybody, the name is Mina Ashido, and my quirk is Acid Launch. I can secrete acid from anywhere on my body, and jet it out or splash it anywhere. I can even create acid geysers in a 15-meter range, but I don't use its slot since it's really dangerous and almost always burns through anything. I like spiders and dances, and I'm really afraid of cats. Ashido's introduction, naming her likes and dislikes, got everyone to follow suit, naming what they enjoyed and what they didn't to everybody in the class. My name is Tsuyu Usui, and my quirk is called Anura. I have the abilities of a frog. I have a really long webbed feet, and I can even secrete acid like Mina can. But I can't launch it around since it always has the ability to kill someone. My face can't really show any emotions, so I have to speak really bluntly in order to get my point across. I like swamps and reading, and hate people who are against animal-type quirks. By the way, you guys can call me Tsu. Usui hopped back to her seat, which got a chuckle from everyone, including herself. Ida walked up to the podium in the most robotic movements ever, which made everyone start cackling, though Ida was thoroughly shocked. My name is 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐸. My quirk is body engine. There are engines on my back and on my legs that let me run faster. I can also add engines to other parts of my body, which take more stamina. I use orange juice to power up my quirk, and my quirk goes haywire when I drink anything carbonated. I enjoy bike rides, and I don't like the sea. 𝐸𝐸 left the podium in the same robotic tone, which made people burst out laughing, and 𝐸𝐸 was still confused on why. 𝐬𝐡𝐚𝐭 floated herself over to the podium. I'm 𝐬𝐡𝐚𝐭 𝐖𝐻. My quirk is called Zero Crush. I can float myself and other people up into the air like they have zero gravity. For other people, I can choose when to release them, and I can control where they go with my fingers. When they are in my zero gravity, I can crush certain body parts depending on where I point. Many of the boys closed their legs after she said this, to which 𝐬𝐡𝐚𝐭 noticed and said, "Don't worry, I don't normally use the crush part on people other than when I'm trying to defend myself. And I can also control the amount of pressure it takes to crush a certain body part. If I use my power too much, I kind of vomit everywhere, and for the rest of the day I'll have my gravity multiplied by 2x. 2x gravity. You're kinda like those alien characters from that one show where they collect orbs. You're like a Saiyan, super manly." 𝐸𝐻 gave 𝐬𝐡𝐚𝐭 a thumbs up, to which she gave one back and floated off the podium. 𝐵𝑃𝘃𝐻 walked up to the podium next. My name is 𝐵𝑃𝘃𝐻 𝐍𝐸. My quirk is called 𝐬𝐴𝐻. I have all of the abilities a lizard has. I also have a super-powered tail that I can use and control like any other part of my body. I like ice cream and dislike bears. He used his tail to push himself off the podium. After 𝐸𝐻 left, someone else appeared in a flash of lightning. Yo, the name's Denki Kaminari. My quirk is called Thunder and Lightning Rod. I can make, control, hold and summon lightning from the sky. If I use it too much I get dumber. But I can absorb electricity to make myself smarter. I can also make thunderclaps from my hands. So that's where the thunder part comes from. My favorite things in the world are probably girls and rock climbing. I don't really enjoy studying. I use my natural intelligence. If any girls here would like to get my number, I'm always open. Kaminari left again in a flash of lightning, and the earphone jack girl felt something flutter inside of her heart. Kirishima walked up to the podium with his hands pumped in the air. Man, I'm stoked. More ways to show people how manly I am. The name's Eijiro Kirishima. My quirk is called Solid Mineral. As Kirishima kept talking about how manly his quirk is, a certain greenie was writing down the rest of his classmates' quirks and how to improve them. Hey, dude, are you alright? You've been muttering for like 5 minutes now. A boy with weird elbows tapped Izuku's shoulder to get him to snap out of his muttering spree. So sorry. I just analyze lots of quirks in my spare time. When I have the chance, I normally jot down in my notebook how to improve them and what's wrong with them. Why are you guys staring at me? Izuku noticed most of the class turn their head at Izuku. Normally he would start cowering away at the amount of attention he was feeling, but some deeper part of him was proud of his work on the quirks he's written down. That's awesome, man. If you go fully pro, you can become a teacher at 𝐸𝐻. Kaminari hyped Izuku up for his sick analysis skills. The nerd is just a master at his craft. What can I say? Bakugo took this one moment to compliment Izuku. He would remember that. Enough with the crowding. We have introductions to get to and barely any time left. 𝐸𝐻 got up and made everybody wary of how little time they had to give people info on themselves. But they really couldn't care less. Reluctantly, they sat down and Kirishima finished his talk about manly things like basketball. A boy with a pointy head walked up to the podium and started making signs with his hands. What's he doing? Kaminari asked. He's doing JSL, idiot. Does somebody know how to sign? Bakugo insulted Kaminari and helped out Koda at the same time. 2 for 2 on the insults and compliments. I do. Midoriya said while raising his hand. He quickly put it down after when he realized he wasn't being called out by a teacher, making him blush slightly. He's saying that his name is Koji Koda, and his quirk is Anavoice. He can control animals and communicate with them using his voice. He likes nature, and he hates camping. Many of those in the class wondered if they could go hand in hand. But as soon as Izuku finished translating, Koda immediately sat down. A buff guy walked up to the podium after. My name is Rikido Sato. My quirk is called Sugar Bomb. When I eat sweet things, I can absorb the sugar and natural sweetness from them and burst sugar from my hands. They can also apply different effects, like burning or acidic. I can also absorb the sugar into myself, and my strength gets buffed by 16x. In return, I lose some cognitive function. I like baking. and I hate anything salty. He walked down the other side of the podium. A boy with multiple arms walked up to the podium and created a mouth from one of his duplicate arms. My name is 𝐬𝐻𝐸 𝐍𝐵, and my quirk is called 𝗵𝗃𝗏. I can create different body parts of myself and use them to fight. I can also use some for support, like creating more eyes in a dark environment. I can also make different organs, and I'm able to cut off my duplicate body parts and regenerate. It does take a while though. I am also able to create clones, which take 3 minutes to recreate my entire body. But I can only make up to 5. I like aquatic creatures, and I don't like trees. Shoji left the podium. The earphone jack girl walked up to the stage next, twirling her earphones. The name is 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐵. My quirk is called Shockwave Jack. I can make small shockwaves from parts of my body, which are amplified when going through my earphones. When I plug them in, they can amplify sound even more. I like rock music, and I hate preppy stuff. Gyro walked off stage. I thought Ida said we ran out of time. What's the deal with the teachers? The weird elbows guy made it known that they've been here for a long while. I know, it's quite surprising that teachers would be late to class. We need a teacher in the room. Shut up. Even if the teachers are taking a while, we have enough self-control to not mess around. They have enough trust in us to leave us here. Just keep going with the introductions and the teachers will come eventually. Bakugo put his foot back up on the desk and shut his eyes, much to the shock of everyone. Fine, sorry everybody, it was rude of me to interrupt. Let's keep the introductions going. We were gonna go no matter what. Blockhead. Gyro twirled her earphones in her ears and made a snarky expression. While everyone was talking, the weird elbows guy walked up to the podium. The name is 𝐻𝐴𝐻. My quirk is called tape. I can launch one-sided or double-sided pieces of tape at others to make them immobilized or swing them around and slam them into things. People say I'm kinda plain. I like hiking, and I don't like conventional means of transportation. I kinda just swing around the city with tape like Spider-Man. Do you even have a license for that? Ida asked, slightly skeptical. Yeah, I got it a year ago when some random on a roof reported me for talking on the phone while swinging tape, saying I was talking on the phone while swinging like I was in a car. Many in the class chuckled after that, and 𝐬𝐻 left the podium. The black bird walked on stage after 𝐬𝐻. Ah. My name is 𝐓𝐡𝐢𝐬. Fear my quirk, for it is of the greatest darkness of all. Come out, dark shadow. A ghastly figure in the shape of 𝐡𝐢𝐬 came out of the side of his body. Seriously, Fumi. We were just talking about how not to do that when you're giving speeches. Sorry everybody, I'm Dark Shadow. When I'm out, I get more powerful in the dark. I can also create mini versions of me that can rip and tear anything Fumi classifies as an enemy. Don't worry though, you guys are cool. I like the darkness, as you would assume, and I hate the light since I get way weaker when I'm in any source of strong light. 𝐡𝐻𝐢𝐬 turned around and struck a menacing pose before walking off the podium. The boy with dual-colored hair walked on the podium next. Shoto Todoroki. My quirk is called half fire, half ice. I don't use the fire side for personal reasons. I like cold soba, and absolutely despise my father. Todoroki walked off the podium the second he finished, and many of his classmates got cold vibes from him. The invisible girl walked on the podium next. Heyo, I'm Toru Hagakure. My quirk is called light refraction. My body emits a protective shield against most layers of light, which I can bend and use to my will. I can also go invisible and visible at will. Hagakure turned visible for a little bit to let everyone know what she looks like before going back to invisible. I don't really go visible that much. I like winter, and I don't like creeps. Hagakure skipped and hopped off the podium. Katsuki walked on stage with purpose in his step and gave a heartwarming speech, is what I would say if he was an alternative version. But no, he's just normal Katsuki. Listen up extras, only thing I'll be telling you is my quirk, which is explosion, and you won't be getting nothing out of me until you all prove you aren't shitty extras. Only person that could even bother standing in my loge is the nerd over there. He pointed to Midoriya, to which he promptly sighed loudly and put his head down. Unless you're him, don't think you can stand in my way to becoming number one. Katsuki walked off the podium with his hands in his pockets. Izuku got up from his seat, leaving his notebook and pencil alone, and looked down, walking to the podium with his head down. But somewhere deep inside him told him to look up straight, to keep moving forward, to have confidence in himself. So he looked straight up and started walking. Like a robot, which made people in the class almost start chuckling. But once Izuku reached the podium, everyone quieted down. I am Izuku Midoriya. My quirk is... Izuku paused for a moment. Wait, Should I even tell them about my quirk? I mean, I know I can't tell them about one for all, but how about I give them a half-truth? My quirk is called Rage Source. Bingo. Perfect nod to both minds and the quest quirk I received. I'm so smart. Izuku smiled smugly in his head. Rage Source allows me to stockpile anger and release it in forms of power or energy. My most normal releases are some flames and an increase in gravity. I only unlocked my quirk recently, so I don't know the full extent of my anger and power. But I promise I'll use it for good. I really enjoy 𝐀𝐦 heroes and writing. I don't like people who go against certain people with villainous quirks, or without any quirk at all. Izuku left the podium and did the exact same robotic walk, which finally had people laughing. A short boy with grapes on his head walked up to the podium and had to get himself a ladder, which had most people in the class besides Izuku, Koda, Shoji, Zero, Tsuyu, Ajiro, Momo, Ida, Todoroki, and Katsuki snickering. Can you guys not do that? I was born with a condition like this, and it's hard for anyone to take me seriously nowadays. My name is Minoru Mainta. My quirk is Pop Off, which lets me throw out these sticky balls. People just full-on started laughing, except for the people that weren't snickering. Wiccan made Mainta frown. On my head, I can throw them around to catch people and make stuff like whips out of them. I can also blow them up 5 at a time to make a glue-like substance which traps people. I enjoy hanging out with people, especially females, so ooh. If anyone's open. Mainta smirked and made double finger guns, to which everyone just stopped laughing and made a solid expression. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Also, I don't like bullies. Mainta put the ladder back and ran back to his seat. The last person up was the tall ponytail girl. I am Momo Yaoyorozu, but most people call me Momo. My quirk is called Creation. I can create anything. But what I create takes up a relative amount of lipids in my body. I enjoy tea, and I don't like bullies as well. Momo sat back in her seat. Who's ready for English? Present Mike busted through the door about 5 seconds after introductions were finished. He was probably counting down as many assumed, since upon no one's response, he went right back to being serious and teaching the class. A secret base. Damn it, Kurogiri. A raspy voice shouted. And the voice came from Tamura Shigaraki, who was seemingly incredibly pissed off. Not really seemingly, he was just straight up pissed. I want to go attack those hero bastards now. But we have no extra players and all we made was a party invite. And absolutely no one made sure to ready up. Tamura mostly spoke in video game terminology, to which Kurogiri had to teach himself, since Tamura was a straight-up man-child and had no real idea of normal speech. Master Tamura, think about it this way. The reason we aren't getting party applications is because we don't have a big enough influence. We'll have tons of players ready and willing if we obtain people that aren't NPCs, as you say. Kurogiri tried his best, and it worked somehow. You're right. Where's Jurin? I need to make an extra request. That flame sack girl and her little plaything wasn't enough. But one must imagine myself happy, and happy I will be. Tamura made tons of references that Kurogiri didn't understand at all, but stayed quiet as to not ruin Tamura's singular light bulb moment. You called Tamura-kun? Said Flame Sack Girl came inside the bar with her hands in her pockets. We don't need your antics right now, Ilulu. Go back to toying with Takedo. All right, Ilulu immediately ran away. That dumbass. Anyways, I know Sensei has a way for me to get a mountain of smiling bodies somewhere. Tamura. The bar TV flashed red, and a faceless man came into view. Yes, Sensei. Finally. I needed your help to get more party invitations. Don't worry about that now, Tamura. I've obtained a way for you to invade you. It seems they are making plans to go to a secret base to train their new first-year students. Go there and massacre All Might, who is teaching the first years. I shall lend you 2 Namu in order for this plan to work successfully. Keep your head up high, Tamura. I do this all for you. The TV flashed red once again, and all for one, the faceless man left his sight. Thank you, Sensei. I'll kill All Might first. And then my dirty hero twin brother Tenko is next. Then, pure chaos. Ha 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 ha. You. A campus. So as it turns out, you. Is pretty normal when it compares to any other high school, except for the fact there are pro heroes. Nothing else is really new, except for dorms. Tenya gathered everyone up at the Heights Alliance campus, which was massive compared to any other dorm campus. All right, everyone, gave us our exact room plan. It's time we set up our rooms, make sure they're up to code, and have a real way to leave and get in just in case of emergencies. Come on, Ida-kun, lighten up. Look at the amount of space we have in terms of everything. Ochako walked inside and pointed out the massive floor plan. Well, you are correct in terms of everything. Let's move in. It's about time, Ida-san. Class 1 did not have a very eventful first week. Their classes consisted of homeroom with Mr. Aizawa, English with President Mike, modern literature with Mr. Ishiyama, and mathematics with ectoplasm. All in all, a balanced day. But the one everyone was excited about was foundational hero studies. They heard their class was going to be reached by All Might, so everyone minus a couple of people were freaking out. Can you believe it? Number 1 hero All Might is gonna teach us. Minta for the 45th counted time today was still in disbelief. I've counted it 45 times. What's with everybody and just glazing All Might? Kaminari, you just don't get it. It's All Might. He really cut out his time today for hero work just to teach us. If only they knew about time. Izuku thought. Being the only one in class actually knowing about All Might's time limit can be really pressuring when not everyone else knows he can't really do tons of heroing. Time, my asshole. He's flown and buffed up his muscles even without one for all. Well, I guess Rage Rider came out for that one. Not like he could do anything about it. He was Izuku's head. Loud footsteps, sounding like running, came pounding outside of the door, and everyone put their guard up expecting villains or some kind of secret test. But I am here, coming through the door like a normal person. All Might busted through the door, certainly not like a normal person, as when he came in, the door came right off of its hinges. You have to be kidding me, All Might. Eraserhead stood up inside of his sleeping bag. Those hinges are coming out of my paycheck. Damn it, I'm gonna have to tell Nezu. Don't even bother putting it back up. Power Loader has it. Aizawa hopped inside of his sleeping bag all the way out the classroom, and never to be seen again, until they go back to their dorms. Anyways, everyone, make your way to ground beta. We're going to be doing some battle training. All Might ushered everyone to follow him, but he saw Bakugo standing up ready, incredibly eager and partly foaming out the mouth. Battle. Midoriya also had his arms pumped up as well. Training. All Might wiped sweat off of his brow. Well, they seem enthusiastic. Oh, before I forget, your hero outfits. All Might pushed a button on a remote and out came everyone's hero costume. You'll be using these in the exercise. Use them well, as many of you have support items that can help your performance. All Might left the classroom with everyone looking at their outfits in shock. Incredible. The amount of quality for these suits is incredible. Ida admired his suit, and Izuku thought that it was surprisingly familiar considering Ida looked like he had the same quirk as Ingenium. I'll ask him about it later. Right now, it's time to open up my suit. Izuku reveals his hero costume, and we go to a flashback with him and his mother. Flashback, 5 days after the sludge villain incident. Hey Izu. Honey, are you alright? It looks like you've been overworking yourself. Inko walked into Izuku's room, where he was completely tired out on the floor, with multiple weights next to him. Mom, I have to keep training. What's the point in even trying to be a hero if I don't have strength? Izuku. Inko said in a very clearly stern tone. You don't need strength alone to be a hero. You can be a hero even without strength. Anyone can be a hero with just skills and their mind. And speaking of skills and mind, look what I put my mind on. Inko, with a minor amount of strain, pulled a heavy box towards her and opened it. I was saving this for a different point in time. But for now, here's. She pulled out a teal-green suit, with a red belt around it, a small ventilator for Izuku to breathe, and a hood. It also consisted of black knee pads that held stuff to patch up injuries. There was also red shoes, one of Izuku's signature things to wear. Thank you, Mom. Izuku was on the verge of tears, but his mother quickly quieted him down. Up. It's not like you're gonna have this immediately, when you get accepted into U. I'll send it to whatever support team they have so the suit can be modified for proper hero work. Right now, it just looks like a costume for Halloween. She gave Izuku a thumbs up before using her quirk to bring the box into the room, gave Izuku one final thumbs up, and left. Battle training at ground beta. Nice fit, Kimibro. Thanks, Kirishima. I didn't really need a lot of anything for my quirk since I can just become smart all the time. It's why I've never really been bad at anything in my life, including design choices and good safety. Kaminari accepted Kirishima's compliment with gusto. Midoriya finished putting on his costume and came out of the lockers looking like he was a natural superhero. Midoribro, nice cape you got, man. How'd you pick out the colors? It wasn't really that hard. I had inspiration from an old hero I trained with to come up with the cape. And my mom picked out the colors. I like green and my shoes have always been red. Izuku, same as Kaminari, accepted Kirishima's compliment with as much gusto he had, which wasn't a lot, but good enough. For reference, it's simply Izuku's Season 5 costume, but with a cape. Hey Midoriya-kun, how do you like my costume? Ochako floated over to Izuku and did a twirl in front of Izuku. Her costume was a space bodysuit, with black buttons in the middle, pink in the middle and black on the sides. She also had a helmet to complement her space look. I think it looks beautiful on you, Uraraka-san. They both blushed for a moment before All Might came into the room. Welcome young students to Ground Beta. For now, we will be using this area for upcoming training. It can change at any moment, but expect this to be the natural training area. We are going to be doing hero vs. villain training, and we'll be deciding it by lots. All Might was about to explain the rules of the game, but Ida had to interject. Typical Ida. Sorry, All Might, but isn't the idea of drawing lots kind of barbaric? Shouldn't we be doing this depending on how strong each other's quirks are? Ida chopped his arms furiously, and All Might was about to answer his question before Izuku did it for him. Ida, when we're out fighting villains, we are going to be fighting different kinds, not even depending on anything. We are going to have to adapt to any type of situation and adapt to how our future teammates will be working together. If we don't get a sense of how to cooperate now, we won't be able to do anything but be fame-hungry heroes in the end. See, correct. Young is Midoriya. Anyways, put your hands in this box, and here we will decide the teams. The villains will be defending the bomb. If you successfully protect the bomb, or the heroes don't find it in time, you win. The heroes can either apprehend the villains or touch the bomb to win. You can place traps along the floors, as long as they aren't lethal. Teams for the exercise. Team Amashirawa Jiro and Koji Koda. Team B Tsuyu Asui and Ijiro Kirishima. Team C Izuku Midoriya and 𝗵𝐸𝐸𝐺 Tokoyami. Team D Kyoka Jiro and Rikido Sato. Team E Denki Kaminari and Minoru Mainta. Team F Toru Hagakure and Yuga Aoyama. Team G Shoto Todoroki and Momo Yaoyorozu. Team H Hantashiro and Katsuki Bakugo. Team I Mina Ashido and Mizo Shoji. Team J Tenya Ida and Ochako Uraraka. Teams for the exercise. Alright, the teams have been decided. The first teams going up is Team C as the heroes, and Team H as the villains. Please get to your positions. The respective teams made their way to their postians. Hey, Midoriya-san, as a listener of the darkness, you seem to have an energy of jet black. Tell me, what is your plan? Tokoyami waited for Midoriya's plan, to which he fully freaked out and tried to get his way out of it. Me? I don't really have lots of good plans in store. I've seen your notebook, Midoriya-san. The energy radiating off of that thing is truly divine. Well. Izuku finally accepted his role as the man with the plan. Alright, Bakugo is going to be gunning for me first since we had some sort of rivalry, and he has a real problem with me for some reason. Izuku thought back to Bakugo's apology before continuing. If you can use Dark Shadow to cut the tape Zero will be placing throughout the floors as a trap, we can probably push through all the way until Bakugo finds me, where we can split off, and you can still outnumber Zero with your mini Dark Shadows. Good plan. Now let our banquet of dark heroism begin. Doesn't that make us sound like vigilantes? Start. Out came the bustling voice of All Might. Good enough for us. Tokoyami doubled down as Dark Shadow came out and covered his frame, expanding as much as he could with the sun still up, and flew up to the top of the roof. Time to be a real hero. Izuku used his full cowling to 10% in order to not crack the building simply by stepping and ran in, punching through all the tape as he went by. Aw man, not even I'm sticking through with the plan. Well, even so, he's gonna need some real help anyways in order to get through tape this sticky. Izuku kept punching through tape as he met up with Tokoyami at the 3rd floor. No sight of them, Tokoyami-san? None at all, not even of the bomb. Maybe they're hiding it somewhere. Correct guess, bird brain. Stun grenade. Bakugo came out of one of the rooms in the hallway and blasted Tokoyami with one of his special explosions. Run! Tokoyami-san, I'll handle Bakugo. Tokoyami followed Izuku's orders and ran. Don't even think I'm going to let you get away? His voice was promptly stopped by a kick to the side of his face. Smash! Izuku jumped into the air using 10% and kicked Bakugo's face using 15%, making him slide backwards, giving Bakugo a small second just to get his bearings back, while Tokoyami ran upstairs using Dark Shadow to smash through every bit of wall throughout each floor. "Izuku, what's with you and your seemingly overwhelming power? You were just a worthless Deku the last time we saw each other, but now you're some big shot with insane strength. Just because you've awakened something within you, don't think I'm going to be getting looked down upon by you again." Bakugo propelled himself with explosions to do an effective hit on Midoriya, or so he thought, as Izuku threw Bakugo's right fist to the side, making Izuku able to knee his rib and sledgehammer him back down into the floor, where he used a Detroit smash on his face, which severely pissed off Bakugo. "Damn Yawu." Bakugo propelled himself with explosions again to do a point-blank explosion to Izuku. Izuku got up with half the face mask of his uniform torn. "It's gonna take more than that to break me." Izuku stood up tall, waiting for Bakugo's next assault, and Bakugo put his hands to the floor. "I was going too easy on you when we were kids, so allow me to show you what happens when I can go up to the max." Bakugo exploded the entire floor below Izuku and himself, putting them in a free fall towards the next floor. But Izuku blanked out. "I know you have more in the tank. Toshi even said you were on a path for greatness. Come on kid, use my quirk. It's awesome, I promise. Let go of your body, float. Let yourself become loose, use Black Whip. When you're finished with all of that, synchronize your life force together. Use our quirks, number #30, then." He awoke, for the 4th time. "GRR. Ra." Izuku halted himself mid-air, grabbing Bakugo with multiple wispy black tendrils, throwing him up into the 4th floor. While giving the suit he was wearing a golden glow, Izuku floated up to the 4th floor, where Tokoyami was currently outnumbering Zero 5-1. "Midoriya-san." His look of confusion threw him enough off guard to have his foot tripped by Zero, which in turn made Izuku burst over to Zero's position and punch him. Zero barely managed to dodge the 5% smash, only. When Izuku used 5%, it didn't feel like 5%. Not at all. In fact, it felt like he was throwing multiple 100% smashes in his direction. And then he looked. The entirety of the city area behind Zero and the entire wall behind it were gone. Barely any remnants of anything remained. As everybody looked to each other in shock, they heard the announcement buzzer. "Hero team wins." Bakugo, barely clinging onto anything, including consciousness, managed to yell out a final, "What the hell?" before falling off of the ledge that was carrying him and went on a huge free fall. But suddenly he was caught by All Might, who rushed to the scene. He managed to grab Zero and Tokoyami as well before rushing back to Recovery Girl's office. "All Might, what's up? Holy shit. What did you do?" "Listen, I was doing battle training with the class and young Midoriya managed to punch through a wall and a city block, and about 45, 46, 48% of ground beta." All Might's rough estimate wasn't even close to the amount of rough Recovery Girl was about to dish out on him. "Why you? You colossal dumbass. They're only first years, and they're already doing battle training. The worst part is the fact you made Midoriya fight at all. He has such a natural power creep over the rest of the students. You should have made him train with you. But he's gotten used to that already. I don't give a damn. He should be prepared to do 100 more spars with you if it means he doesn't destroy half of ground beta. Put the kids on the bed and go see about Midoriya. I'll heal them up." All Might immediately zipped off upon being told to do so, not wanting to get told off anymore. When he got back to the watching room, he saw Ida holding up a barely even bruised Midoriya. All Might sensei, I got Midoriya-san here for you." All Might took Midoriya from Ida's hands and brought him to the infirmary with the rest of the fighters, immediately leaving after Recovery Girl started yelling again. So it seems the heroes won. Can anyone tell us who the MVP is?" All Might sheepishly scratched the back of his head, as the rest of the students were still looking at the remaining cameras surrounding the now collapsed building. It seems Tokoyami would be the MVP for this round, as he kept the destruction to a minimum and managed to send out one of his mini dark shadows to touch the bomb without anyone else noticing. Zero would have been the MVP, but Bakugo rushed after Midoriya immediately, seemingly due to a vendetta. Even if Midoriya had made the original plan to raid the building, he completely vaporized the city behind him, which would have killed multiple citizens, and this been a real scenario. See, correct young Yaoyorozu. While your classmates from the first round are recovering, Team B will be going next as heroes, while Team F will be villains. Prepare yourselves for the next round. W. All Might. How are we going to be fighting if we don't even have a building to use? Midoriya and Bakugo kind of ruined the other one. Not to worry, young Kirishima. Just use another one. All Might had a bolstering laugh, while the two respective teams shrugged and headed to their starting areas. While they were training, it seems, some villains were playing. Hideout bar. Alright 𝐀𝐦. It's about time for our daily Uno session that I just thought of right now. This was one of the games that Sensei got for me for my birthday. I don't remember and I don't care. Let's get ready. Shigaraki was actually itching to play Uno with 𝐀𝐦, but it seems he was unfocused. 𝐀𝐦. Shigaraki waved his hand in front of 𝐀𝐦, whose yellow, sharp eyes were still unfocused. He then woke up. For the second time. Why yes, sorry Master Tamura. It's time we play. Where am I? 𝐀𝐦 spread out his gassy form wildly, getting Tamura to back away fast and put his guard up. Get away from me. I need to save those kids. I need to get them out of here. It's collapsing and I can't go anywhere. 𝐀𝐦 in his manic state sets up multiple portals which Tamura swiftly dodged without much effort. He managed to get to a red button under the desk which he used to immediately contact All for One. Ah. Tamura, you've hit the panic button. This better not be because of another table breaking. Money goes dry in the hands of certain evils. Help, Sensei. 𝐀𝐦 is raging over something and gone totally loco. Why you? I'll end you. So it ran out again. Maybe I should use a more long-lasting brainwash quirk. Don't worry, Tamura, it'll be over. Just keep the TV on for a measly 30 seconds, and he'll be okay again. Tamura believed in his sensei, almost as much as he believed in the fact he was probably going to lose an arm and a leg if 𝐀𝐦 kept opening portals. 𝐀𝐦, you gateway bastard. Get back in your right mind already. Get away, 𝐀𝐦. Launched a long portal directly underneath Tamura, to which, instead of trying to dodge, he just went to the source and decked 𝐀𝐦 in the brace, sending him back and making him lose focus on the portal. When he did, Tamura rushed in for a bunch of grab attacks, and even threw a chair at 𝐀𝐦, but he swiftly went inside a portal and dodged it. To which 𝐿𝑢Lu came in due to all the noise and commotion. Okay, Master Tamura, are you okay? Bimbo, use your fire to get 𝐀𝐦 away from me. We have 12 more seconds. All right. 𝐿𝑢Lu gathered her palms together and shot out a massive fire blast, to which Tamura ducked behind her, and to both their shocks, a massive portal came from behind them, and fire came jetting out of it. Damn it, he can throw elements through his portals too. Tamura prepared himself to block it. He did have a mass amount of durability quirks after all, so what could possibly go wrong, is what he won't find out, since 𝐿𝑢Lu threw herself in front of Tamura and blocked the fire attack, to which 𝐀𝐦, who saw an opening, put a portal down under Tamura to which he almost fell through, had his sensei's orders not be applied. But alas, 𝐀𝐦 removed the portal and fell to the floor. Congratulations, Tamura. You've survived 𝐀𝐦's mass assault. I shall be taking my leave. If anything like this happens again, let me know. Goodbye. And the TV shut off, leaving 𝐬𝐬 and his 2 followers in the room exhausted, and one of them was knocked out. Damn 𝐀𝐦, what even happened to you? Oboro, wake up for us. Loud Cloud, Present Mike and Eraserhead. We were supposed to be the 3 musketeers. What happened? Come on Shirakumo-kun. You can't die just yet. I know you always rooted for my debut as an 18+ hero. You saved me, Oboro. Why couldn't you save yourself? 𝐀𝐦, forget all that. They never had hope for your survival. Return to Tamura now. Ground beta. So it seems after that bold turn of events the hero team came out winning. Anyone know who's the MVP of this round? After the miraculous conclusion of Kirishima 2v1ing Aoyama's boosted app lasers thanks to Hagakure's light refraction, he managed to harden himself to an unimaginable level and walk through and touch the bomb after Tsuyu came in to slap Hagakure with her taunge, labeling himself as the ultimate spear and shield and Asui being humble. Well, she did flaunt just a little bit. Nice breakthrough, man. Knew you could do it. Kaminari gave Kirishima a high five. Thanks, bro. Going through that light show was epic as hell. Hope somebody recorded that. I want to see myself in some sick edits. Ooh, I recorded the match. It was totally epic, Kirishima-kun. Ashido hopped over to a grinning Kirishima, showing him the video. Young Yaoyorozu, do you have an idea on the MVP? Yes, I do. In fact, I believe the MVP was Asui. I know Kirishima rushed in to absolutely dominate through the land buffed up light beams, but I could say Asui did an excellent job at relaying information. Not to downplay Hagakure's stealth skills, as walking behind Kirishima the whole time seemed very, for lack of a better word, stupid. It was a really good plan in hindsight. If only Asui didn't have invaded vision. she would have been able to make it to Aoyama, burst light off of herself and hit Kirishima from the back. Her simply repositioning herself was her downfall, as Asui had better sight of her and a clearer area to get her away. The fact Yaoyorozu kept herself breathing was commendable due to all that explaining, which is not the same as Kaminari, Kirishima, Ashido, and Mainta, who all busted out laughing from the part of her saying, hit Kirishima from the back. Correct again, young Yaoyorozu. Going next will be Team G as the villains, and Team J as the heroes. Get to your starting postians. The respective teams left the watching area and went down to their positions, but it seems like a certain green bean was going through a hell of a time in his head. Izuku's mindscape. What? I'm back on the beach again. I mean, I guess it would make sense. I used all that power and I unlocked some new quirks. Wait a minute, quirks? I know I'm supposed to unlock quirks along the way, but something seems odd about me suddenly unlocking 3 at the same time. As Izuku was doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out how he managed to unlock multiple quirks at the same time off of just falling 2 floors down, 3 figures appeared behind him, seemingly confused on why they were there. Isn't that Toshi's boy? An adult female voice said in a low whisper. No shit, dumbass. It's who we gave our quirks to all this time. You've literally seen him before. A younger female voice, in a slightly higher tone, whispered at the adult. Look, girls, we don't have time for whispering behind his back. He's so caught up in doing mental gymnastics his brain is actually showing gymnastics throughout our quirk stars. All 3 of them looked up and saw faceless things and people doing flips and jumps, while Izuku was still mumbling to himself and drawing throughout the sand. Come on, let's just show ourselves. An adult male, heavily bald with a visor on his head, black leather jacket, and ammunition rounds on his torso, came out from behind Izuku and surprised him. Yo, 30th. Holy she, Izuku jumped back and immediately powered up to 5% of full cowling, which again, didn't feel like the 5% he usually went through. No. I'm one of the vestiges of one for all, the 12th user of the quirk. Don't hurt me, I'm only trying to help. And I have more vestiges along with me. The male vestige frantically saved his hands in front of him, while Izuku powered down, and the 2 female vestiges came out of their hiding spot to meet Izuku. The name is Degoro Banjo, and my quirk is called Black Whip. I can shoot out some black tendrils from my hands, but it seems your version evolved along with you. Izuku nodded along silently and waited for the other 2 girls to explain themselves and their quirks. The woman with the long black hair, long white cape and black suit went up next. I'm Nana Shimura, the 27th user of One for All. I'm also Toshi's mentor. So if you need any counseling, come to me. Nana pointed to herself with a cheeky grin on her face. Hey, we're standing right here, asshole. For some reason, Izuku resonated with the girl with the navy blue messed up head, 2 gigantic red scissors and a cross on her back, and a school uniform that looked like it was staring at him. She really reminded him of Bakugo, which made it all the more tragic she probably died so young. Listen up. I'm Ruko Matoi. I've got 2 quirks, but it looks like you've only got 1. The one you got is called Quirk DNA, but its real name is Life Fibers since it merged with this here outfit. He's called Senketsu, and he's grown to be part of my quirk. It turns out you can use my quirk, have entirely new abilities based on your clothes, so your hero costume or whatever can be 10x better. Also, like, they're in your body too or whatever, and mixed with your heart as well, so you can regenerate and stuff. My bad, I guess. My disgusting shit of a mother decided to mix my whole body with those things. Not like you'll die from them anyways. She was a villain, so I had to kick the crap out of her, or she'd cause more problems. Izuku took this information with as much gusto as he could, almost passing out. Turns out, he gets saved by Shimura's lap pillow, which immediately makes him stand up blushing. Look, I thank you guys for the quirks, but I've been in here for a while now. Can I just wake up? Yeah, you can wake up. But now with unlocking some of our quirks, you have the ability to visit here anytime. Kind of like that one boy's quirk with the head stuff and whatever. PTSD is a bitch. Anyways, One for All is getting more powerful, and you're going to have to deal with an added 100% for each quirk you unlock as your base strength. Using too much of the 100% you unlock could literally set you back to square one in terms of the quirks you use. So check your reserves, kid. You're gonna need it even though you can regenerate. Degoro waved off Izuku, who was about to ask more questions, but he swiftly disappeared. Dumbass #2. Why would you give him all that info right as he was waking up? You know, you're really smart for a small college girl. Degoro got a punch to the back of the head, and Izuku woke up. The real world, 𝐬𝐻 control room. Look, All Might Sensei. Midoriya-sen is waking up. Ojiro pointed to the awake Midoriya, who was now seated on a leather chair, pretty comfortable if he must say so. He wondered where it came from before eventually speaking up. Hey everyone. Did I miss anything while I was out? Kirishima immediately rushed him, unaware of his drowsy state, and almost pushed him to the floor, if it wasn't for Tsu's Tounge pushing him back upwards. Midabro, you missed my epic battle with me and Tsu. Come on Tsu, tell him what you did. Tsu wasn't as eager to share as she was still watching the battle between Ochako and Momo. But whatever happens. Yeah, we really did a number on Aoyama and Hagakure. I used my webbed toes and climbed up the side of the building, and I saw Aoyama and Hagakure still strategizing. So I kinda just stayed there on the side of the building until Kirishima came in. I mean, I did scale down to see if Hagakure was still trailing Kirishima. But I Tounge slapped her, Kiro. By the way, the only reason I didn't help you during the standoff, Kirishima, is because it would have been harder to actually attack if you had to defend me all the time, even with my enhanced speed. Midoriya got valuable information out of his interaction with Tsu that he wrote down in his notebook while she was talking. Meanwhile, Ida was using his new super move, Recipro Burst, to overwhelm Todoroki with attacks. Even with his ice, he can't anticipate the speed and force of Ida's kicks. Shit. I'm losing here. I can't bring myself to lose with my mother's ice. Even while I freeze the whole room, his engines are just burning through, and I can't keep up. I'm gonna have to do it. I know 𝐬𝐻 wanted me to never use this in case of emergencies. I'm going to have to skewer him. Todoroki used an ice punch to hit Ida in the gut hard, sending him crashing back. You got a good hit on me, villain, but it's time to end this. Ida's minor monologue would prove to be his downfall, as his overuse made him stop just long enough to the point Todoroki skewered ice through his leg and froze both of his feet from there, spreading the ice without touching him. No way, he skewered my leg with ice. We weren't even making contact, and the skewer was behind me, unless he can freely control it at will, which is seriously detrimental to the fight. You talk too much, hero. It's over for you. Even as Todoroki was getting more and more frostbite as the battle was going on, he sprouted out ice from his foot and pushed Ida out the window after he broke through the wall with his glacier, making him fall a whole floor down. Young Todoroki, if I see that move used again to throw someone out of an entire building, you shall be suspended on the spot. If you were any higher up, or the spikes of the glacier hit him in an artery, he could have died. Think about that even if you're playing as a villain. 5 minutes left. Right as he was about to hit the ground, Ochako came and grabbed him up towards the roof of the building. Listen, Ida-kun. We have barely any time left if we are gonna win this one. Do you think you could use your other leg to get a small running start to throw me at the bomb? I have a minor ice skewer through my leg, but I think I can do it if I go plus ultra. Ida stood up, and Ochako floated back down to where Yaoyorozu was placing more traps, including a capture trap that was for Ida. While they were outside the window, they saw Todoroki, who was partially covered in ice from the waist down, use fire to remove his frostburn. And that's where Ida and Ochako saw their chance. Ida leapt through the window and kicked Todoroki so hard he flew into a wall. Ochako came in floating, setting off one of her capture traps, and Yaoyorozu made a smoke bomb, making the entire room unseeable. But Ida managed to get up. Even with a bleeding leg, he ran around the room as fast as possible, turning the smoke into a dissipating tornado. And eventually, they were at a standoff, 2v1. As they were about to rush each other, All Might called the match. Time has run out, villains win. Niu. Ida got on his knees and yelled as loud as he could muster. Ochako shared the same sentiment. As if they had more time, they probably could have beat Yaoyorozu. Then again, she used more traps in store for them that they had no idea about. Ochako helped Ida up, but she gave him a word of encouragement. Don't worry, Ida-kun. Even if we didn't win in the end, we had a good fight and we're able to get a plan through. Think of us as diamonds in the rough. Thanks, Ochako-san. Ida said with slightly teary eyes, as he was able to stand up straight enough to walk on his own, although with a limp, as the ice skewer was still in his leg. When they got to the waiting room, Izuku was waiting for both of them. Congrats, Ochako-san, Ida-san. You guys really did a number on Yaoyorozu and Todoroki. Even though you lost, it seems your plans had the heart of a hero. He forgot to mention the minds of a peanut part. But that's hypocritical, seeing as he rushed in to save Bakugo with no quirk and barely any experience in fighting. Thank you, Midoriya-san, but All Might, may I go see Recovery Girl? I have an ice skewer in my leg. You're allowed to go if you're able to walk. But please don't tell Recovery Girl I said that. She'll freak out on me if she even knows I give you the general option of going by yourself. She'll probably figure it out because of the fact I walked anyways, but I'm going now. 𝐸𝐸 walked as fast as he could to Recovery Girl, while All Might asked the signature question. Who was the MVP for that round? Anybody have ideas? 𝐬𝐸 can't go herself since it was her match. I believe 𝐸𝐸 was the MVP for that round. Came the voice of Izuku. He managed to stall out Todoroki long enough to the point where he had to use an incredibly damaging maneuver on 𝐸𝐸 and throw him out of a window. And after that, he managed to whirlwind a smoke bomb to the point where it dissipated. I know that if there was more time on the clock, and Todoroki's powers didn't hold up 𝐸𝐸 as much, the hero team would have won the match. Izuku gave a performance of words equal to 𝐬𝐸's, while using less. Correct, young Midoriya. The next match shall be Team I as the villains versus Team E as the heroes. Get to your starting positions. All Might felt that his talking was repetitive. But one more pair of teams after this one, and it'll all be over. Somehow, he can feel Gran Torino calling him lazy from somewhere. And how, back in his day, he had to do 10 of those at once. Good times. Honestly, I don't really like the odds for Team I here. Seems kind of unfair in my opinion. Came the voice of Zero, who just came back from Recovery Girl, with some gummies in his hands. You see it too, Zero-san. The odds are really stacked against Team I here. It seems Ojiro shared Zero's feelings as well. It might be a closer match than you all think. Ashido-san seems to have some good flexibility. She might be able to dodge a couple of lightning blasts before using Shoji as cover for 𝗵𝗃 orbs will most likely be their downfall. Incredibly useful quirk when it comes to capture. Izuku had more belief in Team I than really anyone else did. People saw him as a second 𝐬𝐸, except more awkward and probably smarter. Just a hunch. But the more he talks, the more popular he gets. Ground Beta, Villains Team, Shoji-kun. I know your vibe is like the mysterious, tall, brooding guy. But do you have a plan, because we're definitely gonna get a real smackdown if we aren't prepared. Mina looked out the window as Kaminari and Mayuta were sat down thinking of a plan. She also saw a large amount of electricity going into Kaminari's head and body. No way, Mina exclaimed. Kaminari is absorbing electricity. Shoji, he's becoming smarter. Please tell me you have a plan. Mina sulked and sat down defeated. She opened her eyes and saw an extra brain growing from one of his arms, wrapped up by skin and bone. Ashido-san, I've been making this brain the whole time in order to compete with Kaminari's electricity brain. It might not be enough, but I think I know what we can do. The brain finished developing, and it seemed Shoji had a connection to it in some way. The extra brain is telling me to continuously block his electricity, stall the match, and we could win. Use your acid on Mayuta's orbs as fast as possible. Anytime he's going to bounce off of them, immediately send acid towards the orb. Use your geysers to trap the building. Right, thanks Shoji-kun. Ashido began to run down the stairs, setting up acid geysers throughout the whole building. Shoji picked up the bomb and put it on the second floor in a third-room hallway, making sure to get Mina to hide it properly. All right, everybody, start. Ashido was hiding on the third floor and looked out the window, and saw Kaminari in 1 second. And in the next, she didn't. He had left a trail of lightning to the top of the building, while Mayuta covered the building in orbs, bursting all of them in fives and covering the building in a jelly-like goo, even making sure that there was an entire area outside with the jelly surrounding the building before he ran in. Oh, you've got to be kidding, Mina said, rushing downstairs and going past Shoji, who was running up for Kaminari. She saw Mayuta on the first floor stairwell and immediately threw acid at the stairs to stop him from coming up. The acid didn't matter much, as Mayuta had set up a trampoline of orbs to bounce up the stairs, pelt Ashido with the orbs on his head, and run off as fast as possible to the second floor. But Mins had made a geyser of acid right on the stairwell. He was about to make another trampoline to get past it, but Ashido decked him directly in the face. All right, fruit salad, it's time you give up. You're not getting past me. She almost started snickering at the nickname, but Mayuta was not pleased. Too bad for him. She ran up to him to hit Mayuta again, but he had already thrown 2 of the orbs on the floor, trapping her feet inside. He then made them explode with such force that they ended up on her face and mouth, so she couldn't communicate with Shoji for help. Mayuta made sure to tie up her hands and waited for All Might's announcement. One villain, captured. He then ran off and created a trampoline under one of the floors, going upstairs to help Kaminari. At least he missed the bomb. Damn it, I can't believe I lost. Ashido summer on the floor and waited for the round to finish. Man, it took everything it had in me not to be weird. I just want people to recognize me as more than the short perv with a kinky quirk. I don't even know how that managed to become a recurring thing in school. Okay, maybe I do, but it's not my fault. At least, I keep telling myself that. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 found 𝐬𝐍𝐬 using super fast punches against a fast-moving 𝐀𝐦, who keeps stunning him slightly, but not long enough for an opening. 𝐀𝐦. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 threw an insane amount of orbs in a cube shape around 𝐬𝐍𝐬. Do it now. 𝐀𝐦 prepped up an ultimate move. 𝐬𝐍𝐬 tried creating more arms to block whatever was coming, but it just wasn't enough. Synchronized ultimate move, trapped Kirin. 𝐀𝐦 struck the entire building with lightning, enough to disable 𝐬𝐍𝐬, knock out 𝐡𝐴𝐻𝐻, and set up a full trapped cube. Turns out, 𝐬𝐻𝐻's orbs were really good at conducting lightning. They gave each other thumbs up and high-fived. Second villain, captured. Hero team wins. It looked like the hero team won again. Not much of a shock to anyone, as 𝐀𝐦 seemed like one of the most powerful people in the class. Holy crap. All Might looked at the desolate building. Electricity was currently flickering off of the building, and 𝐡𝐴𝐻𝐻 and 𝐬𝐍𝐬 were frothing from the mouth. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 wasn't looking so hot either, but he was conscious compared to the other two, and it looked like 𝐀𝐦 was reabsorbing the electricity back into himself to make himself smart again. In 2 flashes, 𝐀𝐦 and All Might were gone, and in another 2 flashes, All Might reappeared with 𝐬𝐍𝐬 and 𝐡𝐴𝐻𝐻 over his back. I'm going to be bringing these two to Recovery Girl. Who was the MVP for the round? Yaoyorozu and 𝐴𝐻𝐻 raised their hands, but Midoriya spoke first. Easily 𝐀𝐦, which I can see is a shared sentiment across everyone here. Not to downplay the performance of everyone else, they clearly did incredibly well to stall for time. Ashido-san's geysers could have kept 𝐀𝐦 and 𝐬𝐻𝐻 running throughout the whole building, and the villains would have won. 𝐬𝐍𝐬 did an incredible job as well, since if he didn't stall 𝐀𝐦, he would have won the fastest out of everyone here. Touching the bomb would be absolutely no problem for him. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 also did really well for the hero's side, to be honest. His building trap was genius if any of the villains went outside. Very true, young Midoriya. Time for a break, while I take these two to Recovery Girl. Everybody either took a seat on some chairs or chatted for a little bit, while Midoriya wrote in his notebook. Yaoyorozu and 𝐻𝐻𝐻 walked up to him. Oh, hey guys. You scared me a little since I was really trying to crack down on my analysis of 𝐀𝐦's broken quirk. 𝐀𝐦 across the room gave Izuku a thumbs up. So was 𝐬𝐻𝐻, such he gladly traded back. Midoriya-san, your analysis skills are incredible. Ida complimented Izuku up front, which made him blush a little. Thanks Ida. Your match went really well. So as you, Yaoyorozu. You put up a really good fight. Yaoyorozu smiled a tad before going back to her neutral expression. Ida was called over by Ojiro, which made him walk away. Midoriya-kun. The reason I was here is because I was wondering if you could teach me how to be more confident in my abilities. Momo looked down and touched her thumbs together. Izuku really wasn't some type of confidence guru, but I guess he'll do. Look. Yeah, Momo-chan. Can I call you that? It's just easier to say. Momo gave a yes nod before he continued. Your abilities really are incredible, and you have the most versatile quirk out there. Confidence is always needed to be a hero. But I'd rather be a shy hero who keeps people's hopes up than an overconfident hero that keeps people's head low and doesn't serve as a good symbol. Stay humble. But do keep your head up high, yeah, Momo-chan. Thank you, Izuku-kun. Momo, tall as she was, gave Izuku a massive hug before she walked away to go talk to Hagakure. Hey Izuku-kun, what were those abilities you used against Bakugo in your match? They were really epic. It's like you turned into some type of Super Saiyan, flew and grabbed him with chains, and smashed him around like, pow, wish ~tilde woo. Ochako was beaming and really up close to Izuku's face. Yeah, Kuro, they were really surprising. Maybe Super Saiyan is your extra power up or something. But what's with the whip things? Tsuyu also asked Midoriya, although not as close as Ochako was. I don't really tell people this. But I haven't. Izuku thought for a moment about a seriously logical answer, since it's not like he could keep getting new quirks without a reasonable name or explanation. Or maybe he could just tell them the truth. I have a stockpile quirk. A power stockpile, if you will. I can store power, manifest it in different ways, and envelop my body with it at different percentages. If I use too high of a percent, I can damage my limbs. Logical, powerful, makes sense, and he didn't even have to tell them about All Might. Maybe One for All buffed his cognitive abilities as well. It did. You really hit the quirk jackpot, Midoriya, 𝐀𝐦 𝐍𝐴, who was eating a slice of cake. Where did he get that from? Honestly, I couldn't imagine having that much power in store. Think if you all had super amped up quirks. Sounds broken in my opinion. 𝐻𝐸 lamented. He felt his quirk was good enough, but everyone else just had a better aesthetic than a guy with a tail. 𝐻𝐸. We all have quirks suited for different jobs. Think about it. I can rush into any situation and be a bodyguard and a blockade. You're good for infiltration, and you can change your color depending on the environment. That's epic. No matter if we have an All Might level quirk or we're made of wood, we all serve some type of purpose. 𝐻𝐸 had an incredibly good reflection. Too smart. Where's the real 𝐻𝐸? Was everybody's thought process. Recovery Girl's office. All Might. One day I'm going to lose all function because of you. You're a smart guy. But you do such dumb things. You allowed the electricity kid to use full power. Think about that for a second. All Might had to block his ears, but with the embers of One for All enhancing his hearing still, it really wasn't working well. Ugh. Put him on the bed, since 𝐍𝐸 already left. Tokoyami and Bakugo, get back to class. Tokoyami was sitting at his bedside rubbing dark shadows somehow swollen head before leaving. Bakugo on the other hand, looked depressed. Oi, Bakugo, back to class. I heard you already, old hag. Back to his usual self. Is what they would think. But if Izuku saw him, he would notice something incredibly different about him ****. I healed you. Where do you get off calling me a hag? A usual response to calling a woman a hag. The smack to the back of the head. Screw that. I'm outta here. Bakugo tried leaving the room, but All Might put a hand on his shoulder. Listen. Young Bakugo, I know your loss to young Midoriya must have taken a toll on you. But you must not waver. You have the ability to surpass high. No, I don't. The way he absolutely destroyed me back there proved it. He was definitely holding back with that punch he tried using on 𝐍𝐸. In fact, it looked slower than the one he used on me. And it still broke most of 𝐷𝐵's foundation like it was nothing. If I were to train my explosions to the max, and use my body burner up to the max, I still wouldn't be able to beat him. I'm gonna need to awaken my quirk to even have a chance. Don't hype me up. Just let me work on my path myself. Bakugo waved off All Might before walking back to the waiting room. His confidence was radiating off of him like uranium before his match. Now it just seems dampened. I saw Nana-sensei's quirk in Midoriya. I don't know the other two, but they looked incredibly powerful. Tenko, if you didn't run away, if you didn't lose yourself after we lost Nana, maybe you could have kept the quirk yourself. All Might quickly put Shoji and Ishido on the bed, and when he was about to leave, Recovery Girl stopped him. Reminiscing again. Look, you and Izuku will beat that man, no matter what it takes. We both know he's alive. You yourself saw him crawl away. But he had no face. Parts of his brain were splattered, and he lost a leg. The guy is definitely on his last leg. Even with a regeneration quirk, those scars won't leave him so easily. Keep your head up high. Keep saying, I am here. Until you can't anymore. Recovery Girl gave him a smirk before going back to her desk and write up Class 1A's injuries. Maybe the two classes should merge. Would bring in more hero course applications anyways. And for the speech? All Might will remember that. 𝐷𝐵's control room. Alright, I'm back everybody, ready for the last round. Team A will be going as the heroes and Team D will be the villains. Get ready. The teams rushed into their proper areas, while Izuku pulled out his notebook, ready to analyze the quirks of his classmates. It looks like a lot of people got lucky with their pairings. Everybody has a perfect combination of range and close combat. Maybe we had blessed luck or something. Izuku chuckled before going back to his notebook. Now how do I go back into the One for All world? I caught up on some manga before this, so maybe I have to do some meditation to access it. I'll do it inside my dorm room though. I don't want to look stupid in front of everyone. Who cares what they think? If it's my way to get stronger, so be it. The amount of times he's had those thoughts seems frightening, but Izuku had gotten used to it. 𝐷𝐵, Heroes team. Koda was trying to communicate to 𝐻𝐸 using JSL, but to no avail. Sorry, Koda-san. In hindsight, I should have learned JSL in advance if I wanted to communicate with mute or deaf civilians. But I didn't really think about it since I was busy in martial arts. Sorry again, Koda. But I do have a plan. If I sneak in and blend into the walls and touch the bomb, it'll be an easy win. But Gyro has enhanced hearing with her quirk, so I don't really know how I'm going to sneak in without you. If you can control animals, can you use birds and flies to distract them while I sneak in? Koda shook his head yes. Good. Then our plan is in motion. Start. 𝐻𝐸 went up to and stuck to the walls, blending in with the concrete of the building, while flocks of birds and flies, plus the addition of 𝐻𝐻𝐸, entered the ground floor and started running up. While 𝐻𝐻𝐸 was climbing up, he saw 𝐲𝗏 outside the window eating packets of sugar, while lacing the floors with a slightly slimy version of it that looked like it had a jello consistency, but it wasn't. I hate what that reminds me of, 𝐻𝐻𝐸 sighed while continuing to climb up. He also warned 𝐻𝐻𝐸 on his comms. 𝐲𝗏-san is placing sugar on the 4th and 3rd floors, watch out. 𝐻𝐻𝐸 gave a quick response, while a flock of birds squawked over the comms. 𝐻𝐻𝐸 continued climbing, and he saw Gyro listening out. Damn it, I can't find Tailman. I'm gonna need to just start spamming my heart waves to see if he blended in with the walls. While Gyro was listening out for 𝐻𝐻𝐸, 𝐻𝐻𝐸 came across Dark on the 4th floor, who was currently eating a whole sugar packet. He ingested it quickly before boosting in strength and rushing at 𝐻𝐻𝐸, who was protected by a wall of flies who continuously stung 𝐲𝗏. In his blind rage, he failed to notice 𝐻𝐻𝐸 running up the stairs. He saw him at the last second and tried to chase him, but a flock of birds pecked him with their beaks, not letting him go anywhere. Man, even with the extra sugar packets, I couldn't win against animals. I guess it doesn't work like Compound V. 𝐲𝗏 chuckled to himself before passing out from exhaustion. One villain is knocked out. 4 minutes remaining. I'll make sure to give you bird guys extra bird seed. And for the flies, I don't know, sugar cubes? What do flies like? 𝐻𝐻𝐸 ran up the stairs and came across Gyro, who was currently fending off an incredibly tired 𝐻𝐻𝐸. Fine, I didn't want to have to use 𝐵𝘃𝐸𝐻's technique of bullshittery. But here goes, floor jacks. Gyro punctured her earphone jacks into the floor before producing an incredible shockwaves, breaking through the floor and crumbling through most of everything. Big problem though, the bomb was falling too. At least it was made of paper mache. Gyro made more shockwaves as fast as she could, breaking through all the floors and wasting time. 𝐻𝐻𝐸. 𝐻𝐻𝐸 tried reaching out for 𝐻𝐻𝐸, but he already had birds lifting him over. So he grabbed onto 𝐻𝐻𝐸, but Gyro threw another shockwave at them through the air, which made the birds go wild. He still managed to grab 𝐻𝐻𝐸 before they all fell to the ground floor. Gyro used an extra small shockwave to barely keep herself from hitting the ground. While 𝐻𝐻𝐸 and 𝐻𝐻𝐸 were being flown by birds, they still took a hard fall and passed out. While sugar particles came falling down on everyone and 𝐲𝗏 was inside of a hallway that still remained standing of the building they were in. Villain team, with an incredible ground-breaking strategy, wins the match. Everyone cheered while All Might rushed out to get the unconscious participants. He quickly made his way to Recovery Girl and allowed everyone to converse. Hey, good job out there. Kaminari waved to her from across the room. She blushed a little bit before giving him a small, thank you. All Might came back from Recovery Girl and asked who the MVP was for this round, to which Ada raised his hand. All Might, I'd say everyone played their part well. But 𝐻𝐻𝐸 and Gyro had to have been the MVPs. 𝐻𝐻𝐸-san acted in a way most heroes would and saved his fellow partner from a surely killing fall. And Gyro-san used the environment to her advantage and completely destroyed the floors of the building, making sure absolutely nobody could get the bomb. And she still had enough stamina to keep going for the rest of the round. Correct, young Ida. Wonderful jobs, everyone. You all did incredible and had great plans for your victory. Albeit some were incredibly zappy, zany, and downright destructive. You all played your parts well. Go back to your dorms, students. You did well today. Many of Class 1 cheered, except for a certain 𝐵𝘃𝐸 and Todoroki, who left the room as soon as All Might told them to. Hell yeah, that training was awesome, man. Is every hero study gonna be like this? Kirishima walked out the control room with Kaminari and 𝐻𝐻𝐸 incredibly pumped. Young Midoriya, before you go back to your dorm, I'd like to have a word with you. Sure, alright. Izuku and All Might walked off while the rest of Class 1 took a deserved nap in the dorms. Later, Aizawa had to reprimand Ishido and Kaminari for sleeping on the couches after curfew, but everyone mostly got a couple of Z's in. Izuku eventually made it to All Might's office. So what is it that you wanted to talk about? Izuku knew exactly what his sensei wanted to talk about. But in his head, he felt the need to be smug about unlocking multiple new quirks. All Might went back into his Toshinori form before speaking. The quirks, young Izuku, the quirks. It seems you've unlocked the quirks of some of the previous users. Do you feel anything different when you use them? All Might started floating up towards the ceiling. I am able to use my mentor's quirk, float, without expressly using the powers of the stockpiler. When I use my mentor's quirk, I feel a sense of peace. Do you feel it too, young Izuku? Izuku meditated for a second, getting in a pose before floating just a couple of feet off the couch. I don't feel it, but I can sense it around me. It's kind of like it's radiating off of me. Izuku got out of the pose mid-air and started slowly floating around the room until he got the hang of it. He floated to above All Might's head and grabbed it. Tag, you're it. He then bolted around the room. Young Izuku, don't think because I'm in this form doesn't mean I can't catch you. All Might and Izuku chased each other around the room, while All Might reminisced all the good times he had with Nana. Granted, he couldn't even fly, but he remembered chasing Nana around while she flew as training, while Gran Torino took a sip of pina colada on a makeshift hammock relaxing. You truly are something else, young Izuku. I couldn't have picked a better successor. He kept chasing Izuku till he coughed up blood and had to sit down. Turns out, maybe I am just frail in this form. All Might started belly laughing. He has no stomach. How does that even work? Don't say that, All Might. You still have to remain the symbol of peace for people in Japan. Izuku stopped floating to reassure All Might. Look, I am losing time on One for All as a whole. But I must tell you, the embers of the quirk stay with you permanently. There is no way to remove it from your DNA as it permanently merges with you. When you lose the full scope, you're unable to access any new quirks, power, or even see vestiges. But you are able to keep quirks you've already attained, and about 75% of the strength of the quirk when you originally had it with just the embers. I tried this with my mentor, and she was definitely weaker than when I first sparred with her originally with One for All. All Might just dropped some seriously bombshell information, but Izuku was about to drop some even harder news. Speaking of your mentor, you mean Nana Shimura, correct? All Might was shocked. How? Do you have her vestige? He changed expressions to one that was serious. Tell him, Izuku. Let him know I am here. And I'll always have a place for him in my heart. And that Toshi was like a son to me. I'll miss him. Nana Shimura in Izuku's head talked to him from the inside. She wanted to tell you that. You'll always have a special place in her heart. You were like a son to her. She'll miss you. Tears started flowing down Yagi's face as he hugged Izuku tightly. Thank you. Thank you so much. He sobbed so much it kind of reminded him of his mother. So warm and kind. You're welcome, Dad.